Oh, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, you had better. Wake them up, get them an umbrella, but get them going. It's Monday on B&E. Rain will be in your commute if you're getting up and out this morning. Showers in the area to start your work week. Coming off a very busy sports weekend, very winning sports weekend for the Texas Longhorn baseball team. 3-0 in Coral Gables. We'll recap what a weekend it was for David Pierce and the Horns. They are on to the round of 16, as are 8 others in college baseball. The NCAA baseball tournament continues. Horns are advancing. Texas A&M and Stanford will play tonight for a deciding game. That will be the opponent for the Longhorns. Lots to talk about on the baseball front, Major League as well. High school baseball also on front and center on a Monday morning. NBA Finals, a thriller in game number 2. Never count out the Miami Heat. They got up off the deck, dominate the fourth quarter, and beat the Denver Nuggets last night in the mountains. We'll certainly recap that ball game and all of the over the weekend sports conversations to be had. They are aplenty as we get you rolling on this Monday morning, 5 June, to start things off. We appreciate you being there. 4 hours of stimulating sports conversation begins right now on a rainy Monday. Appreciate you being there wherever you find us. 104.9 on the FM dial, 101.9 FM always available, also on AM 1260, and stream it wherever you need to. Take us on your Horn app. Wherever you go, just download that couple of buttons. You're listening to us and all the shows, and certainly the Longhorn baseball team all weekend long on that Horn app. Also on your smart speaker at home or work, and always Mr. Godbolt digitally at the website at hornfm.com.
Good morning to the soldiers at Fort Cavazos, Texas, the soldiers in the state of Texas, and all those that fight for us each and every day. Thank you so very much for what you do. It is appreciated, and be careful and stay dry.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the good little front rolling through here overnight. Thunder boomers to start the and woke me up about 3:30 this morning, and range in the forecast for most of the day today. Wet week, it looks like, as far as that goes on the weather
and a
front.
hot one coming up.
Yeah, hot and spring wetness. That's a good thing, right? We need that.
Yeah.
We've been in a drought.
Sure.
Break out of that. Get those lawns looking good, green through the summertime. We'll certainly take that, but be careful, as Ty, our producer, said, was hydroplaning on its way up and in, so some standing water, and I'm glad he made it safe, and hopefully you will as well this morning, getting that going. When I came out of Onion Creek this morning at 4:40 in the morning, it wasn't raining, but then as I came west.
Oh, yeah.
Came west.
Closer I got here.
I drove into it, coming towards Mopac down 71. So be safe out there. Rain pretty much on top of the entire listening area this morning as you get up and out on this 5th of June. How was your weekend, my friend? I know you celebrated an anniversary.
I did on Sunday yesterday, and went and had a nice brunch. You told me I needed to get over to the League Kitchen and Tavern. I did, and saw Lonnie over there. Of the great Lonnie's.
The great Lonnie.
Famous fried chicken, of course. I saw Lonnie had a nice brunch. And we didn't do dinner. We did church.
I'm a brunch fan.
And I'm a brunch fan too. Actually, that was fantastic.
Yeah, I've been telling you, the League does a really nice
breakfast
/ lunch or brunch, whichever you prefer. The League's a good partner of our station.
Ciola, hadn't seen him in a while.
That's a good thing. Ty, I heard you on Sunday morning. You were up and at 'em, working all weekend.
Yep.
Make any money? You had the heat?
1,500 last night.
1,500. Dang, bragger. That's pretty good. We did tell you to take the Heat and the points. I don't know if I thought the Heat were going to win that game last night, but getting, what was it, 8 or 9 points?
I ended up taking money line.
Money line
in a parlay
Miami.
With Oral Roberts as well in there.
Oh, look at that in college baseball. ORU. That was big time. They're advancing like the Longhorns in the college baseball tournament. Let's get to that to start it off. Your headlines, trending topics. We'll get you all caught up on the weekend. UBO Business Services brings it to you. Start with college baseball. And for the 13th time in the super regional era, that's 16 years. And for the third consecutive season, the Texas Longhorns are super regional bound in the NCAA tournament. That's following an all-too-impressive 3-0 sweep this weekend at the Coral Gables Regional in South Florida. Texas started the weekend with a 4-2 win over Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns on Friday. That came behind a great start from staff ace Lucas Gordon and several stellar defensive plays by the Longhorns in that game. Then Saturday night, the Longhorns took down the homestanding Miami Hurricanes 4-1 behind an all-time start from the right-hander LeBaron Johnson Jr. The Florida native dominated the ninth-ranked Canes, allowing just a single run on 7 hits. He struck out 8 in a 129-pitch complete game effort to put the Horns into a 2-0 spot in the winner's bracket. Then last night, the Longhorns eliminated Miami in the regional final with a 10-6 win. Texas fell behind 3-0 early, but rallied for 9 runs in the third inning, highlighted by a game-changer off the bat of the freshman Jalen Flores.
Here's the first pitch to Flores. Swings here and lifts a high fly ball to dead center. Back to the warning track. And you can say goodnight to it. Grand slam home run. J-Flo sends it out of the ballpark. And the Longhorns have blown this thing open with a 9-run bottom of the third. It's 9-3 Texas.
That's right. That put them on cruise control and into the Super Regionals for a very happy head coach, David Pierce.
I'll tell you what, this team has heart. We talked about going in our meetings this week that we're going to get punched. We're going to get punched in the nose. We're going to be bleeding, and we have to understand that. And, you know, we got to just keep playing the game. And they did a great job of that today, and they showed a lot of character because, you know, we've been really good when we've jumped on people early. But for us to get behind early on the road and do what we did and continue to pitch, man, it was just awesome.
Texas only used 5 pitchers over the weekend and saved their bullpen, and they're on to the Super Regional round. One of 8 teams that have advanced to the second weekend. 7 more will be determined today, including the Horns' Super Regional opponent this coming weekend. Stanford drilled Texas A&M late last night at Palo Alto 13-5. That'll set up a winner takes the region game tonight at the Sunken Diamond. Texas will meet the winner. Also today and tonight, Texas Tech's going to place Florida in Gainesville. TCU and Arkansas are going to square off in Fayetteville to move on. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia have all been eliminated from the tournament. Women's Softball World Series, top-ranked Oklahoma keeps on a rolling. They beat Tennessee yesterday 9-0 to eliminate the Vols and post their 50th consecutive win. They'll now face Stanford in the championship round. They need to win 1 game. Cardinals have to beat the Sooners twice. Thriller in Game 2 of the NBA Finals in Denver last night. The Miami Heat outscored the Denver Nuggets 36-25 in the fourth quarter and have evened the finals at a game apiece with a 111-108 win. Total team effort for the underdog Heat as usual on a night when Nuggets star Nikola Jokic went for 41. Gabe Vincent led the Heat with 23. Jimmy Butler took most of the night to get going but scored 8 of his 21 in the fourth quarter. Bam Adebayo had 21. Game 3 will be back in Miami but not till Wednesday night. Major League Baseball, Rangers and Astros, both looking to finish off weekend sweeps yesterday. The Rangers, first-place team in the AL West, completed their 3-game sweep of the Mariners. 12-3, they pounded them yesterday. Marcus Semien extended his hitting streak to 23 games. Jonah Heim homer, drove in 5, while staff ace Nathan Eovaldi improved to 8-2 on the year. Houston was looking to pull off a 4-game sweep of the Angels, but they lost 2-1. Shohei Ohtani's RBI double in the 8th broke a 1-1 tie. Del Diamond yesterday, Round Rock closed out their homestand with a 20-9 demolition of Sugar Land. Also over the busy sports weekend, following a 2-hour rain delay, Austin FC took the pitch Saturday night and lost to Real Salt Lake 2-1. In high school baseball, Westlake Shaps have advanced to the state finals for the first time since 2009. They swept San Antonio Johnson 2 games over the weekend. They'll face Pearland in a 6A semifinal at Del Diamond on Friday night. The Rouse Raiders came up 1 game short of the state tournament. They fell to Bernie Champion in the 3rd game. And in golf, it was Victor Hovland topping Denny McCarthy in a playoff to win the tournament, Jack Nicklaus Memorial Tournament in Dublin, Ohio. Scotty Scheffler finished 3rd. All right, there you go. That's a weekend. That is a weekend. We'll get into the NBA Finals. We'll have a look at everything that went on this weekend, but start with those Longhorns, Buck. It was an 0-2 lame performance at the Big 12 tournament, but the Longhorns picked up where they left off at the end of the regular season with that impressive sweep of West Virginia and played that brand of baseball for 3 days in Miami.
Where that defense carries you, doesn't it? Take that on the road with you.
Well, pitching in defense will carry you a long way, and we know the Longhorns' vulnerability right now is their bullpen, and they didn't have to use their bullpen
don't
this
get
weekend.
to it. There's the one thing, just don't get to the bullpen.
Well, yeah, Lucas Gordon and Zane Morehouse on Friday night, LBJ with a legendary performance on Saturday night, 129 pitches and never have to go to the pen. And then yesterday, Tanner Witt got the start. He gave up the 3-run homer, and they got him out of there pretty quickly. But then it was Charlie Hurley, who's been a starting pitcher for Texas all year, came in, pitched great, and then it was Zane Morehouse again shutting it down at the end.
And
the bats came alive last night. Yeah, the 9-run inning was obviously a separator for Texas. And as you say, the defense. I mean, Dylan Campbell with diving catches, double plays. Here's the voice file. This Horns team plays excellent defense. Yeah, man. Eric Kennedy bringing a home run back on Friday afternoon against Louisiana. Yeah, they just it's all phases when they get it cranking up. And, boy, pitching in defense will carry you a long way. And then some clutch hitting, which they got over the weekend. And they will advance now. And give David Pierce a lot of credit. That's the 4th, since 16 years they've been doing the tournament in this fashion with super, the regionals to the supers to Omaha. And the Longhorns have now been in the round of 16, 13 of the last 16 years, the fourth time under head coach David Pierce. And now they'll sit back and watch.
Wait for today. Is that the game today or tonight?
It's tonight. It's tonight. It's on the West Coast in Palo Alto, Stanford, and Texas A&M. Now, give Stanford a lot of credit. They had to win 2 games yesterday, much like Miami would have had to do. Right? Texas played Miami last night, and Miami had played Louisiana in an elimination game earlier in the day, and playing down in that South Florida humidity to play a game at 11 a.m. and then turn right back around and play Texas, who hadn't played. Texas was fresh and ready to go, but you felt like Miami maybe got the jump. But their bullpen was going to be a little bit taxed. But either way.
Well, you got to be patient with all the delays that they've had, too. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't just rain.
And that's
was
happening
madness.
In a lot of places. Arkansas and TCU are going to have to finish a game today. LSU, their regional's been battered with rain as well. But, yes, Longhorns, long rain delay on Friday.
How about TCU?
Right.
Scoring 20 runs twice?
Well, 20 runs. We'll get to the good of the rest of the tournament. But for the Longhorns, you're right, Buck. They had to deal with some delays.
Yeah,
But, I mean, the point of the A&M-Stanford thing is that Stanford did what Miami couldn't do. Stanford won 2 games yesterday. They eliminated Cal State Fullerton in the morning, and then they came back and beat A&M last night 13-5. A&M could have closed it out and been through both 2 seeds, and that would have set up which we still may have to deal with, which will be who will host the Super Regional round. And everybody has asked, and everybody's asking, who would host the Super Regional if A&M wins tonight and beats Stanford on their home field? The answer is we don't know. We don't know. It'll be Texas or it'll be Texas A&M. I was listening to Craig Way and Roger Wallace talk about it yesterday.
You got a 50-50 chance.
Well, I mean, the committee that seeds the tournament will decide. Essentially, is the best way you can put it. The tournament selection committee will decide, and as Craig has said, it's a myriad of factors. Is it just the highest ranked team? That's to be determined. Obviously, there'll be a bidding process where each school will put their bid in to host, and neither one of these schools is going to get outbid by the other. That's the cash, right? What would you offer to host it? Texas A&M is not going to get outbid by Texas and vice versa to host it because it's a big deal, right? To be on your home field, to go to Omaha in a best-of-3 series. I mean, that's a pretty massive situation, but we're not there yet. Stanford staved off elimination with a dominant performance last night, and remember, it was Stanford who did the same thing last year to Texas State, where Texas State had 1 win to get, to host a Sweet 16, to host a regional down in San Marcos, and Stanford beat them twice, including a 9th-inning rally to end just a heartbreaker for Texas State. Now you have A&M, who was, like Texas, 2-0, sitting in a driver's seat position, but they lost last night's game 13-5. They'll play tonight. That will be, if Stanford wins, we know it'll be in Palo Alto as a top. They're number 8 overall national seed. So if Stanford wins, you're going to California. If A&M wins, we'll wait on the decision.
They don't know then.
We don't know.
Those two. But if Stanford wins, you're thinking Stanford will get it?
Well, I mean, again, the committee will decide. But
they got the regional, right?
Who?
Stanford.
Stanford will. If Stanford wins, you're going to Stanford.
That's right. Okay.
But if Texas and Texas A&M
who knows
meet up,
yes,
the committee will decide. I think. I mean, I'm looking at it. If you're going on, because I'm assuming when the committee ranked all 64 teams, they ranked them 1 to 64, right? These are all the teams that are in. This is number 1 all the way to 64. And if they set the regionals that way, Texas would
which
be
they did, yes.
Texas would be the higher ranked team going into the tournament. If you do the math, Texas would be ranked 23rd coming into the tournament. A&M would be ranked 24th because Texas was sent to the 9 seed. A&M was sent to the 8 seed. But again, as you've heard Craig say, and Craig's been told by many around the program and with the NCAA, it'll be a decision based on many factors. There's the head-to-head that they had during the regular season, which Texas won. Texas won the co-championship of the Big 12. But again, I don't know. I can't tell you on a 6:14 on a Monday morning if A&M were to win tonight. I don't know which way it's going to go and who would host, but we'll certainly keep you posted.
It's going to be a great game tonight, though.
It is. And it's going to be a great day of baseball. If you're a college baseball fan, this is a good one. The teams that have advanced already, like Texas, Wake Forest, the number 1 overall seed, is through. They went 2-0. Alabama went 3-0. They won there, so they're going to square off in a super regional this weekend at Wake Forest. South Carolina is through. They won their regional, and they are going to wait on Texas and Texas Tech and Florida. They're going to play a winner-take-all game today in Gainesville. Texas Tech can still get through. Florida, though, the homestanding team, they've got the opportunity. Also through Virginia, the 7th overall national seed. They're waiting on the winner of the Coastal Carolina region. They and Duke will play a series today. How about your pick of Oral Roberts, Ty? Where does that come from? ORU went in and won the Stillwater Regional.
4 seed.
They were the 4 seed. Oral Roberts, who Texas played in the regular season this year, they beat, and boy, if you were watching Oklahoma State, looked like the Cowboys gave in. They gave up. I mean, they got pounded. They hosted. They were the only Big 12 school to host, and they got crushed. Dallas Baptist and Oral Roberts both beat them up pretty bad. And so Oral Roberts is through. Oregon also advanced through the Vanderbilt region. They're the 4th seed. So the Oregon Ducks out of the Pac-12 are into the round of 16. It's going to be interesting to see where they host that, where they send that regional, that super regional, because they're both 4 seeds on that side of the bracket. Also, Indiana State. How about what is that? The Sycamores?
Sycamores.
They went 3-0, and they're into the round of 16. And then in Fayetteville, Arkansas, you've got Arkansas and TCU. To Ty's point, TCU is leading a game that has to be finished today. It got rained, but it's 20-5.
No, that game's over.
Is it over?
Arkansas won last night to force, so they have to play. They have to beat TCU tomorrow. Right.
I'm looking at ESPN here, and that says that
because Arkansas was playing. They weren't playing TCU last night. They won. They beat Santa Clara last night. I know that.
Well, it says here on the scoreboard at ESPN that Arkansas and TCU have to play twice today, or at least would play twice. They play at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock today, and then if there's a needed game, it would be at 7 o'clock tonight in Fayetteville.
Okay, so one of those games did get rained out, though.
Yes,
I know TCU did beat them 20-5.
20-5, and that was a game where the young kid had 2 grand slams. 2 grand slams.
2 of them.
Back-to-back innings hit a grand slam in Fayetteville. So that regional is yet to be determined, which, of course, Arkansas is the higher seed, and TCU comes in and has a chance out of the Big 12 today. So, yeah, the busy day in Fayetteville. Rain has been a problem there as well. Tennessee has advanced. They came out of the Clemson regional impressively. They have advanced. So those are your teams that have advanced. Tennessee, Indiana State, Oral Roberts, Oregon, Virginia, Texas, Wake Forest, Alabama, and South Carolina. The other 7 to be determined today, weather permitting. So congrats to David Pierce and the Longhorns. It was kind of a bummer waiting 10 days after the bad performance at the Big 12 tournament, but as we've seen all year long, when this team is on, they're really good. And David Pierce has talked about when they have a chip on their shoulder.
They seem very rested to me, too.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that the 10 days off did them some good. They allowed Lucas, because remember, Lucas Gordon and LBJ, your top 2 pitchers, had gone on short rest. Because remember, they played the weekend series with West Virginia where they did a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series to wrap up the Big 12. Then they turned around and played Wednesday to start the Big 12 tournament. So for back-to-back weeks, those 2 were on shorter rest than normal. And, they didn't pitch terrible up in Arlington. The Longhorns just didn't hit at all.
No, it was about hitting there.
Yeah, in Arlington. They scored 3 runs in 2 days against Kansas.
It just looked like a more relaxed team. A rested team.
Yeah, and 10 days off, 10 days to stew on it a little bit, but get healthy. Jared Thomas at the top, Peyton Powell able to rest his ribcage injury and the back for Jared Thomas. And, it was the pitching, right? I mean, it starts with pitching, playing great defense, which they did. That Louisiana game was tough and tight, and the Longhorns, it was scoreless into the 6th inning in that ball game. Longhorns rallied the huge play for Eric Kennedy to bring back what would have been a 3-run homer in that game. Dylan Campbell, the Superman,
that thing looked gone.
The Superman diving catch to make the highlight reel on SportsCenter that night and all weekend long. And then, LeBaron Johnson Jr., that was one for the books. I mean, this is a program rich in pitching history. For that young man to climb the mound and just go to work. I mean, that's the number 9 team in the country on their home field with an electric environment. They had beaten Maine the night before.
Crowd, yep.
Yeah, sellout crowd. And that guy the leaps and bounds that young man has made on the pitching staff. We've heard David Pierce a lot this year talk about how when he got here, he was just so raw as a pitcher, didn't know much about pitching. He's a big, tall kid that got a great arm. He's got a big league arm without a doubt, but he's learned how to pitch.
Nice to do that in your home state, too.
Oh, yeah. And, this is a huge spot to go the route. I know I was getting a bunch of text messages late in the game in the 9th inning when it was, why is he still in there? Why is he still in there? 120, 129 pitches. What are we doing? And you could tell.
We know why he's still in there.
Yeah.
We watched that all year.
Yes. And you know what? The young
Taking
guy.
no chances.
The young guy said, give me the ball, coach. Give me the ball. And he delivered. And that was a huge, huge shot in the arm for Texas. And then to be able to sit back yesterday, watch Miami play Louisiana and the humidity and the heat of Miami, and then have them turn around and play you again last night. And Texas comes with a 9-run third inning, and they put it to bed pretty early there, and the bullpen did enough to finish it. So the Longhorns will wait for their opponent. But, another trip. 4th under David Pierce, 13th out of 16 years the Horns will play into the round of 16. Where they're headed, or will they host, still to be determined.
What was the format before?
Oh, gosh. Somebody will tell us. I don't.
Were there regionals before? There's no super regionals?
I'll have to look back. Somebody will text us.
There was
on
definitely
that.
a tournament. Like, you went to Omaha.
Oh,
so.
yeah. It was a tournament. It was a tournament to whittle it down. But this, essentially what you do is the 2 weekends are the same if you advance, right? You play a 4-team regional, then you play a two-team super regional. When you get to Omaha, you do the same thing now, right? When you get to Omaha, you got 4 teams on your side of the bracket, and you play that regional off, and then the winners of both sides will meet in a best-of-3 championship series. Same thing happens in Omaha. So Longhorns, so far so good. So far so good. And they'll now sit back and wait. And college baseball taking center stage. Congrats on a good, bad, and ugly Monday to Oklahoma, the Sooners, Buck. Those ladies just pulverized the softball.
Gosh.
They've won 50 in a row.
They went against some good pitching, too.
It's that sport is gaining more and more popularity with they're on primetime Saturday night, and that win over Tennessee, 50 in a row, and it looks like they're on the way to another national championship there. And it is interesting, Buck, if the Longhorns end up meeting Stanford, if you're Texas, you'd like to see Texas A&M go ahead and win this thing tonight. Longhorn fans rarely root for the Aggies, but if you see the Aggies win tonight, there's a chance you could host the Super Regional and have more games over at Disch-Falk Field.
Yeah, if Stanford wins, they hosted a regional. They're probably, if they win their region, they're probably going to host a Super Regional, I would think.
Who, Stanford?
They are.
Yeah,
absolutely will. There's no debate about that. Stanford, if they beat A&M tonight, will host Texas.
Right.
That's a done deal. They're the 9th overall national seed. They're a 1 seed, so they're higher. Texas is a 2 seed, so Texas would travel to Palo Alto if Stanford wins. So that's why you're rooting for A&M tonight. Also, you're rooting for Stanford to lose. You realize if Texas and Stanford were to meet in a Super Regional, it essentially could decide that
Governor's Cup?
No, the Director's Cup.
Director's Cup, right?
Best athletic department in the country by points that they keep the tally.
In
and right
baseball.
now,
Nice.
Right now with Texas and Stanford, it's kind of dead even. It's like, and those two, whoever goes further in the baseball tournament.
Well, because Stanford softball's in the championship, aren't they?
That's right. That's right. They advance further than Texas, and that puts them. Texas lost in the round of 16 to Tennessee, who made it to the World Series. So yes, if Texas A&M were to win tonight, and the Longhorns are already through to the round of 16, that may be the difference in whether it matters that Texas would win the overall athletic department achievement honor, the Director's Cup.
Would that be 3 years in a row?
2.
2 years in a row?
Yeah. It's all the success. And so, Texas, again, you're going to root for A&M tonight. I mean, I hate to tell you, but you got to root for the Aggies because there's a chance you could host. And I think there's a better than a coin flip chance Disch-Falk Field would be the site of that best-of-3 Super Regional with the Aggies. And what a scene that would be. Because remember, the Aggies ended the Longhorn season last year in Omaha.
That's right.
Knocked them out when they went 0-2, and it was the Aggies that beat them. Ty's in there shaking his head. He had to watch all that. So did you. But, yes, it could come down to Texas and Texas A&M for a trip to Omaha, whether it's in College Station or in Austin, yet to be determined. All right, just getting warmed up on a good, bad, and ugly Monday. We'll recap it, take your thoughts. Also, the NBA Finals last night, we got a thriller. Never doubt the Miami Heat, Buck. That team has got some guts to it, and they beat the Nuggets last night with a dominant fourth quarter. We'll get to the Major League Baseball weekend with those Texas Rangers. Might be the best team in the game right now, the way they're playing in all phases.
Scoring some runs.
And they're pitching lights out. They're playing phenomenal. Now 3.5 up on the Astros in the AL West. We'll do some good, bad, and ugly from a busy sports weekend to start your Monday, 5 June. Be careful out there on the slick streets. It's B&E on the Horn. Callahan's General Store, folks. Always a great day to make it a Callahan's Day. And, boy, all this rain here in the late spring into the summer, so good for your healthy lawn. Hopefully you've gotten over to Callahan's during the winter and the spring, as we've told you, with our Callahan's Yard Tips with our buddy Charlie Wilson over there, helping you to get your yard in shape, your gardens, your trees, your everything you got going there with your vegetation. And Callahan's has it. The extensive department, the garden department, everything you need for to have the yard of the month, yard of the year in your neighborhood. They've got it for you. But I always tell you, what separates Callahan's, it's not just the products that they have, the organic and conventional fertilizers and feed and everything you need for your yard to make it look great. They've got the people that are going to guide you to the right products for your yard and your situation, the application process and how you do it properly, so you're not wasting your time and wasting your money, and you do get the result that you're seeking, and they're proud of you. When you bring your pictures in and show the people at Callahan's just how great everything looks, they love that and sharing that experience with you. That's how they've operated at Callahan since 1978, 45 years. As a locally owned, family-run company right there at 501 Bastrop Highway, which is 183 to you and me, between downtown and the airport. And they're still there. Get in and meet the folks, see the people, check out the yard section, also the Western wear and hardware and housewares and feed, pet food, everything you need at Callahan's General Store. Always a good day to make it a Callahan's Day. Good, bad, and ugly on a Monday. Plenty of good on the Diamonds. Longhorn baseball takes Miami 3-0 at Coral Gables. Made themselves quite at home on the Hurricanes' home field. Longhorns are on to the Super Regional round. A lot of thoughts coming in. Several of you mentioned that this would be the third consecutive Directors' Cup. You were right, Buck. if the Longhorns can pull it out. Stanford is their main rival. Texas would win the best athletic program in the country 3 years in a row. Stanford had won it, remember, 25 years in a row. Why were you even having a Directors Cup? They play so many sports at Stanford. It's why the Texas is even beating them is incredible, because they play so many more and compete in so many more sports at Stanford.
How does that work?
A lot of women's sports at Stanford.
Well, I mean, if you go to Stanford, I mean, they play so many.
It's supposed to be equal.
It's not equal.
No.
Well, not at all. I mean, if you just go athletic, each athletic department chooses the sports that they are going to play and compete in, and Stanford plays in a lot of sports.
So you could, in theory, if you had enough money, you could compete in every single sport.
Sure.
With the facilities.
Still got to be good.
Yeah, but that, I don't
know how they count
There's
them.
not like a max of
which major sports or whatever.
Yeah.
How you have to count it. I think there may be. Texas football doesn't help Texas.
I mean, look, if you just go to...
How's that?
I mean, so at Stanford, they compete in fencing and men's rowing, gymnastics, sailing, soccer,
yes,
swimming and diving.
We keep a sailing team going.
Water polo and wrestling. Those are all men's sports at Stanford. I mean, Texas does not
have wrestling.
Yeah, Texas does not compete in men's wrestling, water polo,
men's soccer,
sailing, men's rowing, crew, fencing. Those are all sports at Stanford. And then you go to the women's sports. Oh my gosh, I mean they play everything. Artistic swimming. They have an artistic swimming team at Stanford. They've got sailing as well. Squash. They have a women's squash team at Stanford that competes at the NCAA level. Water polo, too. So, yeah, it's different. And obviously they compete in so many more sports than Texas. And Texas is still accruing more points towards that Directors Cup. So props to Chris Del Conte and all that they're doing down there in the 40 acres. A lot of championships and a lot of competition towards championships. Longhorn baseball team still in the mix. One of 16 teams who will advance. Several people also mentioned that before the Super Regional tie, it was a best-of-6 tournament. And so you get 6 teams together, play it off, and the winners would go to Omaha. And then they changed it to the best-of-4 and bracket system, best-of-4 regionals, and then the Super Regional round after that. And the 8 teams still standing get to Omaha. That was 16 years ago. And the Longhorns have made it to the Sweet 16, if you want to call it that, for 13 of those 16 years. Also on the Diamonds, in addition to the Longhorns, plus the fact that Texas A&M, TCU, and Texas Tech still have a chance out of the great state to keep playing and play into the round of 16. How about the Texas Rangers at the top of Major League Baseball, 38-20? I'll give you this stat on the Rangers, who I'm an Astros fan, but you have to be impressed. The Astros are keeping up with them. The Astros have the best pitching staff in baseball, but the Rangers are just as complete a team as you can get. They swept the Mariners this weekend, and they scored 12 more runs yesterday. Rangers have scored a Major League best 376 runs this year. That's 6.5 runs a game they're averaging as a ball club. Their run differential, they're 38-20. They're 18 over 500. Their run differential is 152. They've outscored their opponents by 152 runs this season. I mean, no one else is even close to that. I guess the Tampa Rays would be the closest. They're 122. But the Rangers are just, you got Marcus Semien on a 23-game hitting streak. He's the best leadoff hitter in baseball right now. You've got Corey Seager's come back and is tearing the cover off the ball to lengthen that lineup. So you give the Rangers a lot of credit. They've developed some young players who have come up and have added to the mix. Josh Young is a good example of that. Ezekiel Duran, the young shortstop, has come into the lineup. And, the acquisitions of Nathaniel Lowe, Jonah Heim in a trade from the A's. These guys, this lineup is as good as any in baseball, obviously, with all the runs scored. But the money spent, give the Rangers, they've combined, developing some young players with, some shrewd trades that Chris Young made. And then this, the money spent. They spent one offseason, they spent $500 million on Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. And then last offseason, the ownership group anteed up on all the money for the pitching to go get Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi, who's going to be an all-star this year, Andrew Heaney. So they've built what appears to be a juggernaut. It's not a joke when you've played almost 60 games and you've won, 2/3 of those. Rangers are really, really good. Astros, though, keeping pace. They're 3.5 back. And so that's going to be, if you're an Astro or a Ranger fan, and I got a bunch of Ranger buddies, it's going to be a fun summer. It's going to be a great race because this weekend they separated a little bit from the rest of the division. The Angels are now 8.5 back. The Mariners are 9.5 back. Astros didn't finish the sweep yesterday, but they won 3 out of 4 from the Angels over the weekend.
Yeah.
I give you an amazing stat on the Angels. Mike Trout's one of the greatest players of all time, right? All-time great.
Mm-hmm.
He's up there with anybody you want to name, whichever generation. He now, after this weekend in Houston where they played 4 games, Mike Trout has now played more than 70 games at Minute Maid Park, and he bats under 200 in that ballpark. It doesn't make any sense. Remember when the Astros used to play the Cardinals all the time and Albert Pujols would own them every time? Mike Trout, the Astros own Mike Trout. I mean, whenever I watch so many games, Mike Trout is such a great player, but he rarely does a lot against Houston. It's incredible the way they do a good job against him. That's a stat that's just mind-boggling. Mike Trout bats under 200 in more than 70 games at Minute Maid Park in his career. That's good pitching, and it's just an anomaly. It's just so weird. But it was Shohei Ohtani who had the big hit yesterday to beat the Astros and salvage a game of that 4-game set. So AL West is fun. College baseball is fun, and props to the Westlake Chaparrals, Buck. They are to the state tournament. They're down to the Final Four in 6A baseball after their weekend sweep of Johnson High School down to San Antonio, and they're going to play Pearland on Friday night. So a lot of good baseball, high school, college, and
Absolutely.
pro in this area, to say the least. And Round Rock beat up on Sugarland last night. Those are the Astros and Rangers AAA teams squaring off this week at the Dell Diamond, which was fun to see. So good, bad, and ugly from the weekend. This says Trout is overrated. Mike Trout is not overrated. That is, come on, give me a break.
I wish he could play somewhere else.
Well,
besides the Angels.
I mean, his
doesn't matter where he plays, he'd be good.
It is unfortunate that 2 of the best players on the planet play out in Anaheim and don't play in the playoffs and haven't played in the playoffs. We don't get to see them in the biggest of moments, for sure. This says all we care about is football. That's not true. That is not true. We care about other things as well. We do have football on the brain, though. We'll get into some of the the Longhorns had a big recruiting weekend. The Longhorn football team did this weekend with a lot of future potential recruits rolling through here. And they're going to fire up the summer workouts today.
It's that time.
It is that time with the new coaches on the coaching staff and the all-gas, no-excuses tour to start the season 90 days from now. Longhorns will open up with the Rice Owls. But we do care about other things than football, that is for sure, including the NBA Finals. How about the Nuggets last night, Buck? The bounce back. Never underestimate the heart of a champion, I guess is what you would say with the Heat. A lot of people wrote them off after the dominant performance by the Nuggets in Game 1. But a couple days off, get their legs under them out in Denver, and they even this series and steal home court.
And first loss for Denver, right?
First home loss, yeah.
Yeah, well, they didn't have a choice, but they needed not to go down 2-0.
Yeah. Well, I think that just ensures this will be a long series because I don't doubt that Denver can win a game in Miami with that group.
Now, if Miami wins Game 3,
look out.
Get interesting.
Yeah, look out there. Because, you know what? It looks like last night they decided if they're going to give Jokic, if they're going to give him points, they're not going to give him assists.
Yeah, the role players didn't show up. They let him shoot last night. Michael Porter Jr. had 1-3. Contavious Caldwell-Pope had
We're going to give him 40,
game.
but the rest of you guys can't do anything, and he can't have a high assist game.
Yeah, he had 41 points?
Yeah, 41 points and only 4 assists.
Yeah, the assists.
4 assists.
And the Nuggets didn't have anyone else above 20 points.
Jamal Murray was off a little bit. And that's better defense and nice adjustments by Eric Spoelstra.
And a heck of a fourth quarter.
And yeah, that's really what was the difference. I mean, Nuggets were in control for most of the game, even with that, because Jokic was carrying them. And then, first 3 quarters, Heat scored 26, 25, 24, and then they scored 36 in the fourth quarter. Duncan Robinson got heated up. Jimmy Butler, who was just pretty good for most of the night, he stepped it up and became playoff Jimmy in that final quarter. Those two combined for 18 of their 36 in the fourth quarter, Duncan Robinson and Jimmy Butler. And obviously the final stretch was huge. Jamal Murray had a look at a step-back 3 to try to tie the ball game and send it to overtime, and it was a pretty good look for one of the best shooters in the game. And that's what we talked about previewing the series is in big moments will Jimmy Butler, be on Jamal Murray, Mr. Big Shot, and he was. And he caught him on a switch, and with that little step back, it was Jimmy Butler with his hand in the face, and it rims out, and the Heat take Game 1 despite 41 from Jokic. And you're right about that, Buck. Let Jokic maybe go crazy a little bit,
sure.
But guard the heck out of everybody else, make it difficult because that Nuggets roster is just so dang talented.
And his assists for easy buckets are the ones that just crush you. And
Sure.
he didn't have a bunch of those.
That's correct. That is absolutely
They were just not double teaming him down low. I mean, they were running that zone, and it was working.
I thought they played the pick and roll pretty good
even
in the
when
fourth
they
quarter.
had Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin would get switched onto him in that zone, and they would just say, "All right, we'll give you a layup, but we're not going to let you kick it out to the corner and hit those threes that you were in Game 1."
I think you said it. They're not double teaming. They're staying to their defense. And sometimes when the team is as committed to the defensive end as the Heat and the culture that they have. You got
and you can't do everything, so pick your poison.
Yeah,
what are you going to do? Let him have his big points, but keep the assist away and keep the other guys down.
And you got to see it up close, right? They
Sure.
saw it in game one. It's okay. We and then you can make an adjustment to it once you see it.
Right.
You go in with what you think you can do, and then you're like, well, we can't do that. And Jokic, you just can't let him become the distributor.
Yeah, the all-around
Get
guy.
everybody involved.
Yeah.
And he's going to score his 41.
If he scores 26 and he has 17 assists, you're going to lose.
That's right. And because everybody's, stepping up and playing.
Right.
But yeah, Michael Porter Jr. just 2 for 8 last night. Gordon only had 12. They did a better job defending everyone else. And as Ty said, they didn't double team. So, let Jokic go. And Jokic is just such a smart player. If you're not going to double team him, he's going to go score. And, you wonder what adjustment he makes. But, if there's open people, Nikola Jokic is going to find them.
Right.
If you don't leave him open and you let him go to work, you give yourself a chance. And that's what they did last night. And, they were behind for most of the game, but then found that fourth quarter spark.
Thought they guarded the cutters really well,
yeah.
So he didn't get those kind of assists. The middle of the lane was not – he wasn't getting that freebies.
Denver defensively, you're not going to win if you give up 36 points.
That's what
against Miami.
Michael Malone, the coach, was beside himself after the game last night.
They said they just quit on defense.
Well, Miami didn't miss a shot for the first 9-8 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Well, Michael Malone would say that's lack of focus on defense. And he's, if you heard the interview with him courtside going into the fourth quarter, the lady asked him, the sideline reporter, what's the key? Defense. We got to play elite defense for 12 minutes, and we'll win this game. And they did not. And he was admonishing his team afterwards for how do you not be focused in an NBA Finals game? We've never been to the finals before, and we're going to play that type of defense. So he put it on his own team. They'll head to Denver. I'm not a big fan of the 3 days off between games. They don't play again until Wednesday night. So they'll get a little. Both teams should be fresh. They'll get to South Beach, get to hang out.
And it looked like Miami had their lung power playing in Denver last night.
Yeah, and they've
kind of caught their win.
Been there since Wednesday.
Yep.
Start to get used to it a little bit. Some workouts there.
Tyler Hero coming back.
Tyler Hero could be back. That's right. Tyler Hero, the second leading scorer for the Heat most of the year before he got hurt going into the playoffs. So we'll keep an eye on that storyline. Now 3 more days for him to get well and be cleared to play, which would add another wrinkle to the series for sure. But it's now even at 1-1. Headed back to Miami. Another feather for David Pierce and the Longhorns, which Craig Way will have more coming up in the Craig Way Report. I mean, they slowed down that Miami mojo. Remember, Miami had beaten Texas in basketball to get to the Final Four, right? You've also got the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals. You've got the Heat rolling through the NBA playoffs. Remember, also in the Final Four, Florida Atlantic was there. Remember? They had 2 in the Final Four. That city of Miami's on fire.
It's Titletown.
And Texas rolled in there and said, LBJ, Lucas Gordon, defense.
I like for the guys that have been banged up that they stayed. I mean, they go to a region where no matter if it's raining, it's still hot. I mean, you're talking about being in a sauna.
Yeah. Well, Texas weathered that quite well. 3-0. Well, we'll have more on that coming up. Also, several people said that Steve Sarkisian received a commitment from a top quarterback over the weekend. That is true. I'll get you details on that coming up. Longhorns did get a commitment from a quarterback in the class of 2024, I believe. Details to come and more. Plus your B&E facts of the day on a wet Monday morning here on B&E. First Craig Way. B&E on a Monday, wet Monday. Be careful out there. Lots of rain overnight. Back-to-back nights with big storms rolling through. Showers.
Lots of flashing lights out there, flashing reds.
Yeah, be careful.
Ty, you know what that flashing red means, don't you? That means you still have to stop, okay?
Four-way stop.
Okay, you need to understand that. Not the flashing yellow where you can just kind of cruise through. Just be cautious, just in case you forgot about your driver ed stuff.
It's not like this light in the morning when we roll in. That's just an automatic.
This one right here.
Lost Creek?
This you mean this red right
there?
here?
Is there a light there?
There's a light there that you have to turn left there.
We can sit there for 8 minutes to go left, and then you just go.
No.
When there's no one on the road at 4 in the morning. Be careful, though. Don Miller will be along with the traffics to tell you where the rough spots are going to be. There always will be when it rains like this in the morning. We have some facts of the day for sure, including Longhorns. That's a fact. They're playing into the round of 16 again. They're going to wait on their opponent. It's a winner takes the region game tonight in Palo Alto. Stanford against Texas A&M. Somebody texted and asked a good question. So we know that if A&M wins, it's going to be a bid process, and the NCAA committee will decide who hosts the Super Regional because they're both 2 seeds and it's really, really close. Somebody said, would you rather, if you're rooting for A&M, would you if you're going to go on the road? Was the question, or would you rather go to A&M or go to Stanford? Yeah, I'll put that out there to the audience. If you're not going to get to host and you don't control that the committee will. You did what you could. You won your 3 games, and you put yourself in the position. And if A&M wins, there's a chance you could host, but it's not guaranteed. Would you rather go to A&M, Buck, or go to Stanford?
I'd rather go to A&M. I'd rather stay in the state.
Stanford.
I would look at it as simply as I'd rather play the 24th ranked team in the country versus the 8th ranked team in the country. Just would be my mindset, but same time it'd be pretty hostile down in Texas.
What's that annoying thing they do? They're like, woo, after every ball or something.
Yeah.
It's
they have
not a fun place.
They have another sound thing that they make.
Yes.
Yeah, they make all kinds of sounds. The Aggies do, but it would be a lot of fun for the rivalry and the just for the state. And as we said, Texas Tech. I mean, TCU's got a chance today to win the. They got 2 chances to beat Arkansas to advance. TCU's the team nobody wants to play right now. Remember, they won the Big 12 tournament. They went to Fayetteville, and they scored 20 runs Still 2 times.
Big numbers, huh?
I mean, TCU is, for Kirk Sarlos, they are putting up numbers. They're scoring runs like crazy, and they won the Big 12 tournament to get to the Fayetteville side, and they have 2 chances today to beat Arkansas. Arkansas's going to beat them twice. Now, they're on their home field, but the Horned Frogs' bats are just on fire right now, and Arkansas is pitching a little bit more ravaged than TCU's right now, so you got to feel pretty good about that chance. And then Texas Tech plays a winner advances game against Florida today in Gainesville. Florida had to win 2 games yesterday, including a win over Texas Tech to force this decisive game today. So good luck to those teams as well. Could have 4 of this final 16 out of the state of Texas, or you could just have 1. If Arkansas, Stanford, and Florida gate wins, Texas would be the only one at that point. But we'll run through the whole field coming up. Also on the B&E Facts of the Day, we mentioned how good the Rangers' offense is. How about this? I think the Rangers are pretty good offensively, 38-20. The Rangers, 16 times, 16 out of 58 games, they've scored 10 or more runs. That's tied by the most by any team within its first 60 games in the last 100 years. 1936 Yankees and 99 Mariners, and the Rangers still have 2 more games before they get to 60.
Yeah, every time I look at their scores, I'm always thinking they're going to score at least a dozen runs now, it seems like. They score a lot of 12 runs.
Well,
take the over.
They just have a really deep, good lineup that passes the baton. I mean, you get down to the bottom of the order, and you still have the Jonah Heims and the the Zeke Durans of the world that can really hit.
Well, the rule changes with the shift for Corey Seager.
Oh yeah,
because he's an extreme pull hitter. I mean, it's helped him leaps and bounds this year.
Well, and remember, they've done this without Corey Seager for a month in that lineup, and Zeke Duran, the young shortstop, came up, played very well for them in that spot. So, Rangers, there's a run-scoring machine, and they pitch pretty dang well. I talk about the Astros leading baseball in ERA. The Rangers aren't too far behind them. I mean, their pitching staff, Nathan Eovaldi, has just been unbelievably good for them. He's now 8-2.
AL Pitcher of the Month.
For sure. He's on his way to the All-Star game. Also, Buck, to your point about Nikola Jokic, don't let him become Magic Johnson.
Yes.
In this postseason, the Nuggets are 0-3 when Jokic scores 40+.
Yeah, I've given him this 40.
0-3. They're 13-1 when he scores less than 40, which means don't double team him, let him score, cover everybody else.
Don't get those easy buckets that he gets guys coming through the lane with this assist. He's such a good assist man.
Yeah, and to Michael Malone, the coach of the Denver Nuggets admonishment of his team. The Heat shot 68.8% in the fourth quarter. And a winnable against why the coach was so – we just allowed that team to shoot 70%.
We had a chance to go 2 up.
You guys decided not to play defense. You give the Heat credit for making shots, but at the same time, Mike Malone was not happy with his team's defensive effort in that fourth quarter. So that's part of the big stories of the day, the good, the bad, and the ugly from the busy weekend. We'll recap it all morning long with you. We'll get that Longhorn football commitment coming up in our Coach's Corner. More on Texas football in the week coming up. It's a busy one. It's a Monday. Be careful out there here on B&E. Viking Fence, the premier fence company in Austin, Texas, and has been for 50 years. And so when you're looking for a fence project, you want to build your own fence, whatever, it's Viking Fence every time. You just know you're getting a higher quality of materials, you're getting a better product, and you're working with the best. And that's really when you have a project of that magnitude, that's all you really want to know, right? It's going to be done right the first time. It can be something where, 4 or 5 years from now, I'm dealing with the maintenance of a fence I just put up. That's why Viking puts the longest warranties and insured and bonded. They guarantee you that they're going to build you the best fence, and they've got 50 years of history to stand behind that. And it's every division, no matter what your project is, wood privacy fence, iron fence, or gate of some kind, a automated gate for your home or for your business. They do that as well. Bucky's got that great automated gate at his house out there in Dripping Springs that he got through Viking Fence. It's everything, repairs, supplies, installations. Nobody beats Viking, and no one has since 1972. They've been trusted in Texas all that time, and they are still locally owned and operated and still only do fences. They haven't branched out to do a bunch of other things. They know what they're good at, and they do it better than anybody at Viking Fence. 837-6411. That's 837-6411. Or go to the website. Best place to go. Website's got everything you need. Get a quote there. See the galleries of work that they do and the materials that they have, current promotions. You can finance your project at that website. It's vikingfence.com. When you think fence in Central Texas, there is one name and has been for 5 decades. It's a Viking Fence. Started up, that's your Monday on B&E, 5 June. Hope you had a great weekend. Whatever you were doing, sure you were watching some baseball. High school, college, and pro, there was plenty of all three. Also, the NBA Finals last night. Game 2 goes to the Nuggets. Pretty good. Maybe you were out at Austin FC. Props to Austin FC fans. There was a 2-hour weather delay Saturday night when that storm rolled through. And when they came back to play, still packed. Q2 fans were there. Unfortunately, Austin FC fell to Real Salt Lake 2-1. Disappointing loss for them. But, man, that crowd, pretty incredible. The Listos crowd was there and active. That was a big old storm, too, by the way.
Oh, it was.
That thing was a boomer rolling through on Saturday evening. Developed at west and came east, and it was one of those great, big-time spring storms. And then last night, rain overnight. Now the sun's out this morning. Looks like the rain and the showers. There's still a chance for showers throughout the day, but I think the radar would tell you we
had a couple of days of that kind of 30%, 40%, but then the heat will start to come up out of this moisture out of the ground here next week.
I'm looking at the I guess there's still some rain showers in the area, but moving from north to south today, and so it looks like it'll be a pretty nice day today. Overnight showers. Those are the best kind, right? Soak your lawn, soak your gardens and your trees, and then have a nice day to deal with. It's gonna be humid. It's going to be humid. We know that. Also in the college baseball tournament, a lot of chalk, but also some big-time surprises, which we'll run through. Longhorns, part of that surprising, going into Miami and taking out Miami. Let's get to those headlines, trending topics to start your work week. UBEO Business Services brings it to you. We'll start with the college baseball. And, for the 13th time in the 16 years of the Super Regional era, and for the third consecutive season, the Texas Longhorns are Super Regional bound. That's the round of 16 in the NCAA tournament. Ultra impressive weekend. 3-0 sweep at the Coral Gables Regional. Started on Friday night with a 4-2 win over Louisiana. Great start from the staff ace Lucas Gordon and Zane Morehouse on the mound. Several stellar defensive gems in that game for the Horns. They win it by 2. Then on Saturday night, how about taking on the homestanding Miami Hurricanes? They get the win 4-1 behind an all-time start from the right-hander LeBaron Johnson Jr. The Florida native dominated the 9th-ranked Canes, allowed just a single run on 7 hits. He struck out 8, 129-pitch complete game effort. Put the Longhorns into last night's move-on game, and they eliminated the hosts. They beat Miami again last night 10-6. This time they fell behind by 3-0 early on an early home run, but they rallied for 9 runs in the 3rd inning, highlighted by a game-changer from one of the Longhorn freshmen.
Here's the first pitch to Flores. Swings here and lifts a high fly ball to dead center. Back to the warning track. And you can say goodnight to it. Grand slam home run. J-Flo sends it out of the ballpark. And the Longhorns have blown this thing open with a 9-run bottom of the 3rd.
Yeah, they're going to win at 10-6. That get the win, and they go on cruise control from there. They're on to the Supers for a happy head coach David Pierce.
I'll tell you what, this team has heart. We talked about in our meetings this week that we're going to get punched. We're going to get punched in the nose. We're going to be bleeding, and we have to understand that. And, we got to just keep playing the game. And they did a great job of that today, and they showed a lot of character because, we've been really good when we've jumped on people early. But for us to get behind early on the road and do what we did and continue to pitch, man, it was just awesome.
Texas, one of 8 teams that have advanced to the second weekend, 7 more to be determined today. 9 teams have advanced, 7 more determined today. The Horns will also find out who their super regional opponent will be. That's because Stanford last night drilled Texas A&M in Palo Alto 13-5. A&M could have advanced with a win there. And now they got to play a winner-take-all regional game tonight at Sunken Diamond. Texas will meet the winner. Also today and tonight, Texas Tech will face Florida in Gainesville to advance. TCU will have 2 chances to beat Arkansas to advance out of the Fayetteville Regional. Oklahoma State, West Virginia eliminated over the weekend. Women's Softball World Series, top-ranked Oklahoma rolled past Tennessee to eliminate the Vols and post their 50th consecutive win. They're now a win away from a national championship. Thriller in Game 2 of the NBA Finals last night in Denver. Miami Heat, behind most of the game, outscored the Nuggets 36-25 in the 4th quarter, shot nearly 70% from the floor in that final 12 minutes, and they win at 111-108. Gabe Vincent led the Heat with 23. Jimmy Butler took most of the game to get going, but scored 8 of his 21 in the 4th. Bam Adebayo had 21. Game 3 back in Miami Wednesday night. Major League Baseball, Rangers and Astros both looking to finish off Sunday sweeps of their series, but Rangers the only one to get it done. They beat the Mariners 12-3. Marcus Semien did extend his hitting streak to 23 games. Houston was looking to complete a 4-game sweep of the Angels. But they lose 2-1. Shohei Ohtani's RBI double in the 8th broke a 1-1 tie. Round Rock, how about the Express? They closed out their homestand with a 20-9 crushing of Sugarland. Also over the busy sports weekend, we mentioned Austin FC took the pitch after a long delay and lost to Real Salt Lake 2-1. High school baseball, Westlake Chaparrals have advanced to the state championship or state finals for the first time since 2009. They'll be at Del Diamond Friday night facing Pearland in a 6A semifinal. Rouse Raiders came up one game short of the state tournament. They fell to Bernie Champion over the weekend. And in golf, it was Victor Hovland topping Denham McCarthy in a playoff to win the Jack Nicklaus event there at the Memorial Tournament in Dublin, Ohio. Scotty Scheffler finished third.
Well, Victor Hovland won, but he did not cry.
He didn't cry.
He didn't cry, Ty.
Yeah, Ty was chiding, who was it? Billy Horschel. Billy Horschel.
Billy Horschel.
Yeah.
Because he shot 84. 84.
Hey, he didn't get last, though.
He didn't get last.
No, he didn't.
I can understand him being emotional. Now, listen, Scotty Scheffler's the guy. I know Hovland wants it.
Back-to-back weeks, he missed it by one stroke getting to a playoff.
And Scotty Scheffler, I mean, his last 10 starts, his ball striking is historically great.
Oh, yeah.
His tee to green game is unbelievable.
If he could just be halfway decent at putting.
I know. I mean,
he's just in that stretch.
He's like last in the field.
And his tee to green game is like Tiger Woods like. It literally is, if you're looking at the numbers. I mean, he is on every fairway long. He is on every green.
Not making any birdies.
At one point on Sunday, he had picked up 19 strokes.
Yeah, that's for the weekend. Yeah.
I thought it was just Sunday.
Strokes gained. He was number one in the field over the weekend, like plus 19. His tee to green game is tremendous, historically good. But yes, he was dead last in strokes gained on the putting green.
4 and 5 footers and 6 footers, man, count. Those are the ones that just keep you in it.
Drive for show, putt for dough. But now Scotty's still making some dough.
Now he's making dough.
He's making some dough. He keeps finishing in the top 5, and he was a stroke off of being in that playoff with Hovland and McCarthy. That's a very tough golf course, and I saw where for Jack Nicklaus's tournament there at his home course that he designed, that's the first time they didn't have any weather delay in the 4 days. Normally there's some rain problems you deal with there this time of year in Ohio, and they didn't have any. So
he's got some funky par 3s there.
By Saturday, or by yesterday, those greens were hard, firm. And so they
were. No, you didn't see anything hit and spin.
No, it's hitting like it hit the parking lot. And they'd hit good shots like right at the pin, and it would bounce, back into the back, and then you got to come back down. But poor man, Scott, I'm going to say poor Scotty Scheffler because he's still number 1 in the world, and his game off the tee is just incredible what he's doing. But the next major's coming up, U.S. Open.
Has he always been this bad at putting?
No. Oh my goodness, no.
No, not at all. No,
he was on that streak. I mean, it's just this year. He hasn't been bad.
This year.
Yeah,
it really started at the Masters. Mm-hmm. Remember, he won the Players Championship going away, and ever since. Maybe here is when he started to struggle with the putter.
I taught you about those 8-footers, though, the ones that you make to, save par sometime. He wasn't coming close, and then he's getting closer than that, and he was starting to miss the birdie putts.
Be that far ahead in strokes gained at tee to green and be that far back on the greens.
Yeah.
Can just tell you how frustrating that game can be. Well, yes, you can cry after a bad round, Ty.
To finish third after being on the cut line going into the weekend, that's
incredible.
That's incredible.
He'll figure it out.
Our man Scotty Scheffler getting her done. As for the baseball, congratulations to the Longhorns and David Pierce. I mean, we'll see where they go from here. Trying to get back to Omaha for a 39th time in the program history. And here's a good text we got from somebody. I said, would you rather go if you're not going to get to host, which the Longhorns could host, as we've said, everybody's asking the question. If the Aggies win tonight, who will host? The committee that selected the field will decide. And as Craig Way has explained many times on these airwaves, it's a myriad of reasons. And the one thing I heard Craig say yesterday, which I think is good, when they decide who's going to get it, they'll explain why. Like, there'll be an explanation. They're not just going to say Aggies hosted or Texas hosted.
Sure.
The committee will announce why
whether
they're choosing.
Whether you like it or not.
And it's a fairly significant decision because the host will get to host the best of 3 super regional on their home field with their home crowd. And obviously the winner of 2 games will be in Omaha. So pretty big deal. I said, would you rather, if you were told you aren't going to get to host, would you rather go to Aggie Land or go to Sunken Diamond in Palo Alto? This text says, I would much rather go to Stanford. Absolutely can't stand. I never want them to advance in anything. Plus, head-to-head win in baseball go a long way to the three-peat in the Directors' Cup.
Well, I want to play the team that knocked me out.
Yeah. I mean, all I would say is rivalry be damned. I'd rather play the 24th ranked team in the country than the 8th ranked team in the country.
Yes.
But it's baseball. We see all kinds of craziness happening. Think about this. In that The only Big 12 team to host a regional was Oklahoma State, and they got smoked. They went 2-barbecue on their home field in Stillwater. It really looked like they gave in. They gave up a little bit in that loss to Dallas Baptist that eliminated them. But Oral Roberts ended up winning that regional. Oral Roberts, the 4 seed. They beat DBU in the elimination game yesterday. How about the ORU? Longhorns played them during the regular season, if you remember. And Oregon won the Nashville regional. They took out Vanderbilt. The Oregon Ducks is a 4 seed, went in there and won 3 straight games, and they have advanced. That's a big surprise.
Is Wake Forest still hanging in this?
Yeah,
thing?
Wake went 3-0. Yeah. They're the number 1 seed. They're going to play a good one this weekend with Alabama, who also swept the Tuscaloosa region 3-0. They're in. South Carolina's in. They went 3-0. Texas went 3-0, we know. Tennessee, a bit of a surprise. They went and won the Clemson regional. Took Clemson out, and so they have advanced. And Indiana State, that's one of the host teams that people don't sleep on. Indiana State, the Sycamores. They went 3-0 this weekend. And as we said, a lot to be decided today. With how about the one at Auburn, Alabama? Auburn's out. They were the host. The Southern Miss out of the Sun Belt, Buck, will play Penn, the Quakers, today.
Penn Quakers hanging in there.
That was a really exciting game.
So my Boston College group went out of there.
Yeah, Penn could have eliminated. They could have won. Penn, the Quakers as a 4 could have been through if they had beaten Southern Miss last night. They lost 11-2, so they're going to play another game today.
It was a lot closer than that, though.
Yeah,
they kind of blew the doors open in like the 7th or 8th inning.
Virginia's come out of the Charlottesville region. That's where Oklahoma went out, but Virginia was no trouble, 3-0. So those are your teams that are through. Tennessee, Indiana State, Oral Roberts, and Oregon. By the way, those 2 4 seeds are now going to play in a super regional, and this is the same kind of thing. The committee's going to have to choose who hosts that.
It's going to be Oregon.
It's going to be Oregon, probably because of the size of ballpark. I would guess, but they're both 4 seeds, so that's another kind of like Texas and Texas A&M. The decision will have to be made there. But
one of those 2 teams is going to be in the College World Series.
Either Oral Roberts or Oregon.
And the last 4 seed was, who was
somebody
it? Stony Brook?
Remember, somebody won the championship at
Fresno
the 4
State.
seed. Yeah, Fresno State years ago. But yeah,
Well, I watched the kid E from LSU who was at Air Force last year.
Paul Skeens.
Oh my God, that guy stood on the mound. I don't even think he wound up. I think he just put his foot down and stepped and just threw the ball.
Do you think he has a chance to be a 2-way player at the next level?
I don't.
He hasn't done as much.
He was a catcher at Air Force. No, I think he moved to LSU to focus on his pitching, and he's the most dominant pitcher in college baseball. And that's where LSU. I mean, they still got to get out of their region, but they've been dealing with weather.
He fiery.
They've been dealing with weather at Baton Rouge, and so they've still got some games to be played. But he is a really good pitcher, obviously. They also have the best player in college baseball. So Baton Rouge Regional, it's LSU and Oregon State today. And LSU 1-2, yeah, they've got 2 chances to beat Oregon State one time to advance. And yeah, LSU, and they've got the kid, the center fielder, is likely to be the number 1 pick in the amateur draft coming up this summer, and Skeens is dominant.
They have 2 top 5 guys in the draft.
I mean, he is really good, and so LSU's a handful coming out of Baton Rouge. So that needs to be decided today. And so yeah, a lot of baseball today, and we'll wrap up with the Aggies in Stanford tonight. It's I think it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock tonight out in Palo Alto. Aggies could have done like Texas, gone 3-0 and eliminated Stanford. Stanford had to win 2 games yesterday, and they did, including 13-5 over A&M last night. So they've got to go to that. If you're the Aggies, you'd like to go ahead and get that done last night and not have to get Stanford back. But your pitching should be in a better place than theirs is. They had to play 2 games yesterday to come through that loser side. Hey, let's dive into your Coach's Corner on a Monday morning, brought to you by Audio Visual Consultations. Never, ever. Props to David Pierce, Buck, coaching his way. This team, I guess the expectations were kind of low coming out of the 0-2 Big 12.
Yes.
But at the same time, that team we saw roll through West Virginia in the final weekend, that team can play with anybody.
Yeah, when they get it totally together, defense, offense, and pitching, and then have to get to the bullpen, they're pretty damn good.
Well, and the move of LeBaron Johnson Jr. into the starting rotation, I mean, you can't say enough about –
that was quite a display.
I mean, he started the year as a Tuesday starter, and I remember one of our first conversations with Coach Pierce, who we talk to every week, was, what's the plan for LBJ? Is he going to, because we were talking who's going to be the closer? You're going to keep him in the bullpen, because the thought was he might be your back of the game guy with that electric arm and come in and get the final 6 outs of games. And Coach said, no, I think we're going to need him in the starting rotation, so we're going to stretch him out and get his arm built up. Woody Williams, the new pitching coach, feels like this is the best place for him. And so he started starting games on Tuesday night and pitching really well. Then he started, I think he came in relief in a Saturday game against Oklahoma. And they got swept in that series, but he came in when they were already behind on that Saturday game. And since that game, man, he has been unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's been one of the best pitchers in all of college baseball. And to go out there and throw the complete game. Nothing against Lucas Gordon with his start on Friday, because he was really good too. And in the 4-2 win over Louisiana and all the defense the Longhorns were throwing around. But it was LBJ who I think really stamped this series. I mean, the Longhorns, to win that game on the road, because look, as we said, if the Longhorns lose that game, then if they had to come back and play Louisiana yesterday morning, they don't have the pitching staff to get into the losers bracket. They have to stay in the winners bracket, and LBJ in front of a sellout crowd, top 10 team, did just that. I mean, he was just outstanding, and we've seen a young guy come of age.
He's just a junior, right?
Yes, well, redshirt sophomore, so would be draft eligible. But if you hear David Pierce talk about him, he just talks about a young man
learning how to pitch.
Yeah, but he takes the coaching. You know, he's really bonded with Woody Williams, the pitching coach, and really takes to it and listens to it. Doesn't think he knows everything because he doesn't, but it works his tail off, and you're seeing the dividends, and it's certainly paying dividends for the Longhorns to be there. So David Pierce going to the regional final for the 5th time in 6 seasons, and I believe his overall record now at Texas in this weekend, right? The 4-team regional, he's like 12-3, 12-2 as a coach at Texas in this round to get to the round of 16. So pretty good. And as you said, they had to, LBJ had to wait out that rain delay on Saturday night. So AU have road game, big environment, big moment with a pitching staff that's leaking some oil a little bit behind you.
Yeah, I mean,
that guy goes out there and dominates.
The way they handled it, everybody handled that rain delay.
Well, it's part of baseball.
The bats. I thought they all they looked pretty good. They looked relaxed and refreshed. I mean, that 10 days, like you said, that was a time just to kind of get away and gather yourself, to get ready for this. And it looked like they did that preparation. I thought David Pierce and his staff did a good job of getting guys just ready all around. The bats, everybody just looked kind of. There was a different
all phases. Yep.
That different step,
Offense, defense, and special. Offense, defense, and pitching. Man, that's when win a lot of games. Their offense wasn't a juggernaut.
No,
but Dylan Campbell now has a Big 12 record 38-game hitting streak. I mean, he's just his big home run.
And you get lit up early when you go over the top of the fence and rob them of 3 runs. I mean, that's just.
Oh, with Eric Kennedy in that Louisiana game. And then the Dylan Campbell diving catch.
Yes.
Dylan Campbell, is the best defensive outfielder in college baseball, arguably. His arm is elite. I mean, throwing people out, he's one of the best in the country, but his acrobatic catches have made the highlight reel many, many times this year. But, in that 3-hole, and part of the reason they played so poorly at the Big 12 tournament was the top 2 guys, Jared Thomas in the 1 hole and then Peyton Powell, were playing injured, and they didn't get on base. And so, over and over again, your top 2 guys are not getting on base. Which,
right.
When your run producers come up, the Porter Browns and the Dylan Campbells, there's nobody on base. And that changed this weekend. Those guys were finding a way to get on. And then Dylan Campbell and Porter Brown were finding a way to get him in. And so good weekend for the Longhorns, really pitching and defense dominated. One note from Longhorn football in our coaches' quarter. We mentioned things really crank up for the summer workouts for the Texas football team this week with the new coaches that have joined, the new special assistants to the head coach that we told you about last week, Paul Christ, Joe DeCamillis on the special team side. But the Longhorns did get a recruiting commitment over the weekend as they had a big recruiting weekend. The 2025 quarterback, KJ Lacey. KJ Lacey is out of the state of Alabama. He's only going to be a junior in high school there. Sarland, Alabama. He chose the Longhorns over Bama, Auburn, Tennessee, and others. Ranked as the number 5 quarterback in the class of 2025. So once again, reiterating, Steve Sarkisian can recruit quarterbacks.
Yeah, we're coming to your state to pick out your quarterbacks now.
Safe to say, Steve Sarkisian can recruit that position. Since coming here, Texas kind of languished outside of Sam Ehlinger. They didn't recruit, and Sam Ehlinger wasn't even like a super high recruit. He turned into a great player at Texas, but the quarterback position was a bugaboo for a decade. Well, now you got a quarterback room that's got Quinn Ewers, who was the number 1 quarterback in the country. Arch Manning was the number 1 quarterback in the country. This guy Malik Murphy,
top 5,
looks like a stud. And now you've already got this. They've already got a kid out of Houston, Cy Fair, I believe, that's coming in as part of the class of 2024. down there at Cy-Fair High School, Cypress Fairbanks. And now they've added this kid for the class of 2025, K.J. Lacey. Because of the portal, Buck, you just keep recruiting quarterbacks.
Absolutely. Don't stop.
And he is rolling in here. So if you look at him on film, he's only a kid. He's a sophomore, going to be a junior. But he's got a body type kind of like Bryce Young. He's kind of a lean.
That's instantly who I thought of when I just saw a picture of him.
Yeah.
Was he 5'11"?
Yeah, and then kind of a skinny kid, but he's a baby yet.
They call him a 6-footer.
Yeah, we'll call him a 6-footer. That's fine. Hey,
it's like I'm 6'2".
It's like you're
okay.
6'2".
You are 6'2". Okay.
I showed you the records.
Yes, he showed me the records.
He brought in his medical records showing that he's 6'2". The doctor says.
They put him on one of those stretch machines. I did Kyler Murray during the draft. Stretched him out. Here's
a stat from our buddy Jeff Howe of Horns 24/7 to my point of David Pierce and his success in this round of the tournament. Since being eliminated in 2017 in the Long Beach Regional, and that was a close series. Texas is 12-0 in regional play under David Pierce. 12-0 at this spot to get to the Sweet 16. And our buddy Ty Harrington, our skipper on the show, has texted to say, I hope that restaurant saves Lee Sterling and his Miami buddies a place to sit so they can watch the Horns play in the Super Regional.
Oh.
Sorry I couldn't pass it up after his comments about the 85
Boy, he's having a hard time giving that up, isn't he?
They can't. I mean, they were supposed to win the championship that year, and they lost to the U. And, Lee's a good friend. He can't come on and pop off about it. And Austin Radio, come on, man. And then to get beat, get smoked, 2 losses. With that, and he was talking about that restaurant that he likes. And that's where Ty says that's where he can go watch the Longhorns. Will the Longhorns be playing the Aggies, or will the Longhorns be playing the Stanford Cardinal? We'll talk about that coming up. Also, NBA Finals Game 2 turns into a thriller, and the Miami Heat, never underestimate that group. They found a way. We'll get you details. Ty will lead us through hot or not. The 6'2". Ty Henderson will lead us through the hot or not top picks before the end of the hour. Plus your good, bad, and ugly from the busy weekend. It's B&E on the Horn. Longhorns get it done in Coral Gables, 3-0. They are on to the Super Regional round. Where will they play? We don't know. We do not know. Could be decided tonight. We know if Stanford beats the Aggies tonight on home field, the Stanford Cardinal will host the Longhorns this weekend. And if the Aggies win, the committee will decide who hosts the Super Regional. And there's a lot of, if you listen to the Aggie side of it, they're saying, wait a second, if we win, we beat a number 1 seed who's higher ranked than the Miami Hurricanes by 1. That's how close this is. I mean, Miami's ranked 9, Stanford's ranked 8. Both Texas and Texas A&M, if you look at the way the seeding went, probably 1 spot apart in the overall rankings. I think you could argue that Texas is 23 and A&M is 24 in the rankings when the committee got together to rank the field of 64. And of course, it's an eyelash. And I listened to
Didn't
Craig.
they beat them this year?
They did, head-to-head. Longhorns won the head-to-head matchup this year down at College Station. And so, yeah, I mean, again, there's a lot that goes into it. But to sit here and I heard Craig and Roger talking about it yesterday on the radio broadcast of the win, no one knows. The Aggies don't know. They'll both make a bid, by the way. Both teams will bid money to host the regional. But, this is Texas and Texas A&M. Neither's going to get outbid by the other. That's not going to happen. So the dollars will be even. They're ranked almost the same. The opponents they're playing are about the same. And maybe it comes down to head-to-head. I don't know. Head-to-head was a Texas victory. But can't tell you this morning. But we'll see tonight. But the question is, are you rooting for the Aggies tonight or are you rooting for Stanford? I would say root for the Aggies, just my opinion, because if they do win, you have a chance to host. I mean, there's a 50-50 chance that they could choose Texas. And if the Stanford Cardinal win, you don't have a chance to host. You can't have home games. So, and Stanford a higher-ranked team than the Aggies.
I'd rather be Texas A&M anyway.
But, so yes. This says, have it in Waco. I think do it. Neutral site. Or you could do it like they do in the high school playoffs. Play 1 here, 1 there, and then 1 in Waco. I'm for that. Or play in Giddings. Somewhere, I don't know. What's halfway between the two? Let's get a stadium. Let's play it. Waco wouldn't be bad. Waco would be cool, but they don't love their baseball stadium. But yeah, somebody also pointed out the Longhorns did win a share of the Big 12 championship, which the Aggies don't have. But the Aggies played in the championship game of the SEC tournament, which they lost. But again, it's very close. It's very close. So again, it's going to be such an interesting debate. But Stanford can put it all to rest if they beat the Aggies tonight, because the Aggies couldn't take care of their business last night. So college baseball on the brain. A lot of baseball today. Ty, what led you in to wager on Oral Roberts?
Just watch them play. I mean, they're pretty similar team to Dallas Baptist. I don't know. I was kind of just taking a flyer out on them. They were like plus 200.
Nice. And they won it.
That with the Miami line. I had Stanford as well and Alabama. So it was a good night. I stayed up till midnight watching college baseball last night.
By the way, just by karma, you shouldn't be betting on Alabama. Alabama's coach got fired for manipulating bets.
they took care of your Boston College Eagles last night.
Yes, they did.
Come on, the coach got whacked middle of the season for.
Hey, the players still got to play.
That's true.
That's right. Coaches coach and players play.
Coaches coach.
Meet in Brenham. That's what I was thinking. That's the Bluebell place, right? Isn't that the home of Bluebell?
Isn't that like right outside of College Station, though? That's basically like playing in College Station.
Pretty much.
Just at Bryan, then Brenham.
This says, Aggie tears are better than hosting. Let's go to Palo Alto.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm in for that. Well, I just
want to get the group that knocked me out last year. That's what I'd like to get.
Well, and it's interesting that Stanford has this opportunity because they did the same thing to Texas State last year, remember, unfortunately, for the Bobcats. Texas State was in a spot to punch their ticket to and remember last year, Texas State would have come home to San Marcos and hosted a super regional, but they lost in the 9th inning. They had the game. They had it. They needed 3 outs. And remember, in the clinching game, they started their All-American closer. He got the start because they were out of pitching, and he pitched like 7 innings of just in his first start of the year. He pitched great and had him with the lead with 3 outs to go, and last 6 outs got him, and Steve Trout's team went down in that game. But Stanford has a chance to do the same thing to the Aggies, who will have their second opportunity tonight to get through it. This says, let's go to Palo Alto. Nothing better than Aggie tears. Aggie tears. I love it. That's why I want that series. I'm a fan, interesting spectator. I want Texas A&M, wherever they play it. Because the Aggies ended the Longhorn season a year ago in Omaha.
Yes.
When the Horns went 0-2 in the College World Series. All right, how did the Heat beat the Nuggets last night? How about the fourth quarter? They shot nearly 70% from the field, scored 36 points, and beat Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. Defense kind of went to sleep for the Nuggets at the wrong time. Or you could argue the Heat just got hot. And as you said, Buck, their strategy on Nikola Jokic to let him score but not let him assist his teammates paid off. He only had 4 assists. He scored 41 points. They started Kevin Love last night. They went to the bigger lineup to start the game, which was one of the adjustments that was made.
Yeah, he's not as good. He's not as effective when his assists are down. He's had some big scoring games because he doesn't get everybody else involved.
And then,
they defend it. They defend it better.
Yeah, I mean, and that's you obviously Eric Spoelstra and the Heat will stick to that.
Yes,
that we're just going to cover everybody else, and because Nikola Jokic is just such a great teammate and great passer. If he gets double teamed, he's going to go to the open man, and they knock it down. This game, they didn't double him, and he went to work, and he's going to take the advantage. I can score on this, and he pretty much scored at will, 41 points. But without the assists, the team didn't play as well.
And it's frustrating to see him dump off guys going down the lane for easy layup buckets. They didn't. They defended the lane really well again last night, and especially in the fourth quarter, you couldn't get in the lane.
Well, and
that zone was working.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He played more zone than anybody by a lot in the NBA.
Yep.
And remember, the Lakers had a couple opportunities late in the game to beat the Nuggets, and they couldn't. They couldn't make the shots. LeBron kept throwing up bricks in the final. This one, the Heat executed in that final minute, and Jamal Murray missed a step back jumper that would have tied the game and sent it to overtime. Really that close. Obviously, after a dominant performance in Game 1, and responded.
And the Heat shot better than they did the other night.
Oh yeah,
in the Game 1.
Well, and you knew they couldn't.
Yeah,
was that tired legs from the Boston series?
They got too many good shooters.
Yeah, and Adebayo is going to be Adebayo. He was excellent. Jimmy Butler had his 23, and
then he was clutch in the fourth quarter again. Now I was thinking he's not going to get away with that bully ball. Well, he did last night again.
Yeah, Bam?
No, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and Bam gets the same kind of looks that Jokic does at the rim.
He does. He shot.
It's this little bunnies, and if you're going to give that to him, he'll take that all day just to offset what
Jokic
is doing on the other side.
Bam shot almost 60% from the field, scored 21 points, and really the key in the fourth quarter was Duncan Robinson. Right, you have to have somebody step up to go with your go-to guys.
He did not in Game 1, but he did last night.
He had 10 in that fourth quarter run.
He's taken to the rim.
Yeah.
That's never been part of his game. They take him out sometimes for defensive reasons, but that dude has all the confidence in the world right now, and I wouldn't expect that from a guy that barely played during the regular season.
This says, anyone notice that Gilligan was sitting courtside next to the Heat bench? Gilligan, by the way, is Tyler Hero. He wears those little
I thought they
Gilligan hat.
Yeah, well, he sits there in these goofy Gilligan's Islands hats, and it's fashion. It's fashion.
And his outfit.
He's in the White Man Can't Jump.
Tyler Hero,
the new remake. I haven't watched it yet.
I'm not going to see that. Come on,
because he's good friends with Jack Harlow, the main actor, the rapper.
Well, that's so funny because Tyler Hero, and it becomes a big subplot of that series, is if he get healthy and get back and give the Heat another score. And that's Gilligan. We start calling. I like that Gilligan's Island sitting courtside. But he's from Wisconsin. He's like he went to Kentucky, stayed 1 year at Kentucky, and
he was committed to Wisconsin before that, though.
And he's kind of a farm kid, and so good old boy.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean?
He does. I don't think he doesn't really give off that.
I'm telling you,
persona right now.
If you talk to people at Kentucky who saw him when he was a freshman, they're shocked to see him on South Beach dating Instagram models and wearing
he's a lot different now if he was a farm boy.
Yes. I mean, he's just like, he's kind of an aw shucks from Wisconsin going to Kentucky guy who's turned into, Mr. South Beach, I guess. And doesn't he?
He's not like the hick from French Lick now, believe me.
Kind of like that. Yeah, a little bit. But yes, he's found Miami. And Miami can change you, boats and bikinis.
Oh, yeah.
Instagram things going on down there.
And we know from Anthony Davis, Kentucky can change you too.
Kentucky, yeah. Well, that becomes a subplot. But the Nuggets Heat get Game 2, and Ty made a bundle on that. Nice pick, Ty. Good job by you. Good job. Obviously, we got to wait till Wednesday night, 2 more nights before we'll get Game 3 on South Beach. Is where they're headed for that. So that's part of the big weekend. We're taking your good, your bad, and your ugly. from the busy weekend. Also, Buck, great new partnership. We announced it last Thursday, but it's hitting full gear today. You know, Buck Off Thursday, Buck On and Buck Off Thursday every week here on the Horn. But we're going to make it a bigger deal. When you're watching a game, because our Buck Off and Buck On Thursday is brought to you by the Austin Gamblers, and we want your shout out. So because everybody's got a cell phone now, so if you're watching a game or something really makes you mad while you're in traffic or wherever you are, shoot us a video. Just shoot us a video, hashtag Buck Off or whatever we're going to do. Shoot it to the Horn on Twitter or myself. You can even email it to me, ehogan@hornfm.com. And on Thursday, we'll play them, and then we'll have a winner every Thursday now, the best Buck Off that is delivered to us. So don't just save your Buck Off for Thursday. Get it on tape, send it to us, and we'll play it. We'll play the highlights on Thursday in addition to the other Buck Offs that come in. Buck Ons and Buck Off. So if you'd like this morning, if you wanted to give a big Buck On to LeBaron Johnson Jr., just fire up your phone. Give us a quick shout out, and certainly we'll retweet that and put it out there for you.
Buck on Coach Pierce.
Well, you should. Coach Pierce, 12-0 in his last 12 regional series games. Hadn't lost a game in that first weekend of the NCAA tournament since 2017. 2017. He has his teams ready to play. And they once you hope they can build on that wherever they play next weekend. But, man, the pitching, stellar. You only use 5 pitchers all weekend. Your question is your depth in your bullpen. Well, Lucas Gordon and Zane Morehouse is all you needed on Friday. LBJ, complete game. And then yesterday, you're still bringing Tanner Witt back, so he's got the first 2 innings, and he gave up that home run, 3-run shot, only hit he gave up in his outing. But then a guy who's also been a starting pitcher for you this year, Charlie Hurley, pitched great, came in, did a great job. And then Zane Morehouse closed it out. Nightmare, as they call him. And it looked like, boy, you want to talk about a boost. Zane Morehouse has big league stuff. Like, he has a great arm. But sometimes he loses it, right? He gets wild. He starts walking people, hitting people. And that's why they call him Nightmare. He can be really good, and he can also not be great. And, that we've seen that this year from Zane. But it looked like that 10 days off, Buck, working with Woody Williams on some mechanical stuff, he looked dynamic.
Yeah, you didn't know how they were going to come after 10 days.
Well, when he
team was going to look like.
When he came in the 8th inning for Lucas Gordon on Friday, man, that was lights out stuff. That was outstanding. He did give up a home run. It was 4-1, and he gave up a solo homer. But, man, everything else was just outstanding for him and ends up with the 4-2
Yeah,
win.
the rest did this team well.
It did. And a little chip on the shoulder I didn't hurt. So big Buck On to David Pierce and the Longhorns, Buck On to LBJ, and we'll take your Buck On. So get those to us. If you want to shoot us a video anytime during the week, even when you're watching games in the evening, fire up your phone, send us a Buck Off. We'll have a winner every Thursday now. Brought to you by our friends at the Austin Gamblers. We'll come back. Ty will lead us through the hot or not topics, reset our headlines at the top of the hour. It's a busy Monday, a good, bad, and ugly Monday here on B&E. Hot and not on what was a rainy overnight, turning into a fairly nice morning as you get up and out. Still some wet streets out there, and I'm sure maybe some, what'd you say, flashing red lights?
Oh, yeah.
The
flashes are out
storms of the last 2 overnights. Be careful out there. Get you into your week here on the 5th of June. A lot to do, including the Longhorns. And somebody said best move on a good, bad, and ugly Monday was David Pierce leaving LBJ out there for all 9 innings. He was amazing. You don't see games like that anymore. And think about LeBaron Johnson Jr. Buck. Last year, on a pitching staff that featured Pete Hansen and Lucas Gordon, Tristan Stevens, that young guy pitched all of 17 innings in 2022. And this year, and give Woody Williams, the new pitching coach, a lot of credit for helping him come along. But, man, the other night, since he was inserted as a reliever on April the 22nd in that series with Oklahoma, he's made 7 appearances, 5 starts. His record is 5-1. His ERA is 1.86. He's struck out 50 and walked 10. He's given them an established ace behind Lucas Gordon, which makes them a tough out wherever they go this weekend if he keeps pitching like that. Because
hard work, good coaching.
That's right. So if you got Lucas on a Friday, the way he brings it night by night, he's only had 2. Amazing that Lucas only had 2 rough starts here in the last couple of months, and those were against Kansas. Everybody else, he pitches really well, and the defense has been stellar. And you give the Longhorns a second ace. If Tanner Witt can continue to come, I know he wasn't his best yesterday, but I still think there's hope that here in June, as they advance, that he can get better and better. And Charlie Hurley was really good yesterday, but to me, the heroes of the weekend, the Texas defense, Zane Morehouse, and obviously LBJ. I mean, those 3 things were huge in getting out of Miami with 3 straight wins. Also, speaking of Florida, Buck and Ty, are you hot or not on this? Hot or not? Netflix will release a new series August the 23rd called Swamp Kings. Swamp Kings, it is a documentary following the 06 through 09 University of Florida teams coached by Urban Meyer.
Very hot on this.
Very hot on this.
This will be very interesting.
This will be very interesting.
A lot of moving parts.
That's Timmy Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Hernandez.
Percy
Harvin.
Aaron Hernandez, the killer.
Murderer.
Well, the deceased now, Aaron Hernandez. Yes, that team had some storylines going on, safe to say. Yes, I'll be in that August 23rd, Swamp Kings. Hot for sure.
I'm hot. I'm in on that.
I'm in on that, no doubt. Yes, for sure.
I finished the Curious Story of Natalia Grace over the weekend.
You finished it? She's all done, isn't she?
I'm very, very just more confused than I was before I started. Quite
Really?
honestly, yes.
So, what did you think of her dad?
I feel bad. That's the guy I feel bad for.
Totally lost it, right?
He was just whipped.
Were you like the Buck that you just came out of watching that and just felt depressed?
It's depressing, isn't it?
Life is not happy for a lot of people out there. My takeaway.
That's my takeaway.
My takeaway is I'm staying away from things like that. I don't need that. I don't need to.
You're the one that watches court TV and the crime.
But I need more. That's what I'm saying. I'm being wrong about that. I need more uplifting stuff, more uplifting things in life.
That's not good TV, though.
Yeah, well, but it's not good for you either. It'll drag your ass right down.
There's a reason why people watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they want to be miserable.
They just want to feel better about their lives.
Or they like a compelling storyline that doesn't have to be happy all the time, but at the same time, yes, things like that can bring you down. But I have not seen that yet. After listening to you two guys, I probably am not going to watch it.
No, you don't need to. It's not. There's nothing.
Probably not.
There's better things to watch.
Ty, what do you have for us in hot or not? And in addition to the money in your pocket from the Heat and all your good picks yesterday.
Well, I've heard a story. I think it was Chad who had a donut challenge at one point on the station where he had to eat a dozen donuts or something. Well, Major League eater James Webb broke the world record for donut eating. He scarfed down 59.5 donuts in 8 minutes. Breaking the world record.
59.5, so 59 and a half donuts. Like glazed?
Yeah, just original glazed.
That's
they had water.
That's plugging, man. That's
water
just so
like the hot
plugged up.
dogs. I think I could do 25 in
there you go.
10 minutes.
Way, way, way too much sugar.
Yeah.
No chance. Talk about the sugar fit you'd have after that.
Oh my goodness.
Send yourself into anaphylactic
He's not
shock
even.
or something.
He's a looks like a pretty in shape fella too.
That much sugar that quickly has to be terrible for your system. Anything that quickly has to be bad for your system.
Imagine that expanding in your stomach too.
Oh, no.
All that dough.
All right, a lot of good coming up in our headlines. The good, the bad, and the ugly, including the Longhorns including ties Texas Rangers. The Heat last night. Not so good for Austin FC over the weekend. Details coming as we run down the also ties Westlake Chaparrals had a good weekend. We'll recap all of it for you. Talk more about these Longhorns. We'll hear from LBJ, LeBaron Johnson Jr., one of the heroes of the weekend for the Longhorns. Coming back. Putting together for a Monday on B&E. Hope you had a great weekend. Dodging raindrops and storms, but still plenty of sports to discuss. Sports of all sorts. Baseball heavy, hoops, a little football, and not a great night on the pitch for the Austin FC in soccer. Busy hour, though. A lot to do. And in 1 hour, by the way, little preview. One of the greatest running backs in Longhorn football history will be in the house. Oh, yeah. Certainly one of the fastest running backs in Longhorn history will be in the house. We'll have a in-studio conversation with our friend Jamal Charles. He'll be, and he's got a big event coming up, Boys and Girls Club, that he's a part of. So Jamal will drop in, and we'll talk some Longhorn football, get his thoughts on what he's up to. And Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson off to do their thing in the National Football League, where he starred for many years after leaving Texas in the middle 2000s. So we'll talk to Jamal coming up in 1 hour. Also this hour, Craig Way has his report. Get you a flex segment, including the Westlake Chaparrals, the lone remaining area team into the state championship round of the baseball playoffs. And in our salacious gossip, Buck, ahead of your blitz before the end of this hour, and we talked earlier that Texas and Stanford are in pretty much a neck-and-neck race for that Director's Cup.
Uh-huh. And
they could meet, by the way, and it may decide it if they played in baseball in the super regional round, the Cardinal and the Longhorns. Well, and we talked about the number of sports that Stanford competes in that Texas does not, fencing and, gymnastics, and they compete in so many sports, and it's crazy that the Longhorns still are able to accrue more points than them. When I get to salacious gossip, you're not going to believe, the country of Sweden has registered a new sport, and you're not going to believe it. You're going to like it, but you're not going to believe it. That'll be coming up in salacious gossip.
I'll like it.
I think Ty will like it. I would like it. You would like it. But yes, and it's not.
Are people naked while they play or something?
Well, maybe. Yeah.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, maybe. Here's a nice text to start the hour. With all the good going on, let's go to the bad. The bad, my guy Josh Wolf. Why isn't he even fired yet?
There's still one Josh.
And they lost to Real Salt Lake, they're like 14th in the West, or were before that game. Austin still teetering 8 to 9th place.
Yeah, that's a bad home loss because you were sitting and tied for 6th in the Western Conference going into it, and you got to playing a bottom team on your home pitch. I know there's a long weather delay, but two sloppy goals the defense gave up. And
you got Casante back. He had a goal, but it's just you can't be giving up 2 goals a game.
They were so good at home last year. They're just so good last year. This year they're mediocre at home and been bad on the road. So that's why they're going to fight for a playoff spot, it looks like here. But I don't
they're
going
to fight to the bitter end before they get a spot.
I'm assuming Josh Wolf will not be fired, but we got consistent texters, and that's fine.
Well,
there are also people
the Celtics head coach was not fired, which I still wasn't understanding why they were thinking about firing.
This is soccer, though. People have gotten fired for much, much less than the amount he sucked this year. So that's also across the pond.
We are all going to get to know this ownership group and how patient they are with situations. Now, they had a rough first year, couldn't score any goals, and then they went to the Final Four last year, and were one of the most dynamic teams in the MLS with the same coach. So it's slid back this year, and but yeah, we're going to get to find out. We don't know this ownership group with Anthony Precourt and company of what their patience level will be, and the fans keep showing up, even with a 2-hour weather delay the other night. The place was still packed.
I think Johnny Rogers might be the Austin FC's #1 fan. I think he goes to every single game.
He does.
JR from the high ground on Saturday mornings, and future mayor of our city, I think. Except he now tells me he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to be the mayor. He was on track for a while there. Johnny Rogers with Casey on Saturday mornings. But yeah, big fan. So that went on this weekend, but plenty of good, plenty of bad, plenty of ugly. We'll get to all of it. And yes, Joe Mazzulla is going to be retained by the Boston Celtics. And, that's probably a good call. Can't keep changing coaches, but they got bigger things to figure out with the Boston Celtics, and that would be what they're going to do with Jaylen Brown and a Supermax mega deal.
They're going to pay him.
Well, yeah, probably. Or sign him and trade him for a big piece that could, work more in tandem with that roster and with Jason Tatum.
Trade him for Damian Lillard. That's the move you got to make. You win a championship. Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard together.
And the Portland Trailers might just take that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would. They might have to. That third pick that they have is going to be huge. I think they're going to try to move that this offseason.
Can we get to the headlines, though? Trending topics, plenty of them, including the Longhorns with a great weekend in South Florida. Top Gun Equipment Rentals bring you the news. College baseball for the 13th time in the 16 years of the Super Regional era. And for the third consecutive season, the Texas Longhorns are headed to the Super Regional round, the Sweet 16 of the NCAA baseball tournament. Ultra impressive 3-0 sweep this weekend at Coral Gables, the regional there, hosted by the University of Miami. Texas started the weekend with a 4-2 win over Louisiana on Friday. That came behind a great start from staff ace Lucas Gordon and several stellar defensive gems, plus a nice couple innings at the end by Zane Morehouse. On Saturday night, they took down the homestanding Miami Hurricanes in front of a packed house, 4-1. The final was all about the right-hander LeVaron Johnson Jr. The Florida native dominated the ninth-ranked Canes, allowed a single run on 7 hits, struck out 8, 129-pitch complete game. Then last night, the Horns eliminated the hosts on their home field with a regional final win of 10-6. Texas fell behind 3-0 early on a home run off of Tanner Witt, but rallied for 9 runs in the third inning to separate it. That was highlighted by a game changer off the bat of the freshman from San Antonio.
Here's the first pitch to Flores. Swings here and lifts a high fly ball to dead center. Back to the warning track. And you can say goodnight to it. Grand slam home run. J-Flo sends it out of the ballpark. And the Longhorns have blown this thing open with a 9-run bottom of the third.
Going to win it 10-6 and eliminate Miami. Texas now will wait to find out who they're going to play. Texas, one of 9 teams that have advanced to the second weekend. 7 more to be determined today, including either Stanford or Texas A&M. Late last night in Palo Alto, Stanford drilled the Aggies 13-5. That sets up a winner-take-the-region game tonight at the Sunken Diamond. Texas meets the winner. If they Stanford Cardinal win, Texas will be headed to Palo Alto. If A&M wins, the committee will decide who will host the Super Regional. Also, today and tonight, Texas Tech will face Florida in Gainesville. With a winner takes the region ball game there. TCU has 2 chances to advance at the Fayetteville region, so they'll play Arkansas today. And then if they lose, they play again tonight. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia have all been eliminated. Well, softball World Series on the women's side, top-ranked Oklahoma on their way to another national championship. They rolled past Tennessee over the weekend to eliminate the Vols, and they post their 50th consecutive win. They now are 1 win away. They'll play Stanford. And Stanford has to beat Oklahoma twice to prevent another championship there. Thriller in Game 2 of the NBA Finals last night. Miami Heat trailing most of the night to the Denver Nuggets, but rally and outscore Denver 36-25 on their home floor in the final quarter to win at 111-108. Gabe Vincent led the Heat with 23. Jimmy Butler scored 8 of his 21 in that fourth quarter run, and they even the series at a game apiece. They'll head back to Denver on Wednesday night. Major League Baseball, Rangers finish off a 3-game sweep of the Seattle Mariners up in Arlington, 12-3. A 16th time this year, the Rangers have scored 10 or more runs. That leads the majors by a mile. Marcus Semien extended his hitting streak to 23 games. Jonah Heim homer drove in 5. Staff ace Nathan Eovaldi improved to 8-2 on the year. Houston was looking to complete a 4-game sweep of the Angels, but they lost 2-1. Shohei Ohtani, his RBI double in the 8th, broke a 1-1 tie, and that was your ball game. Round Rock closed out their homestand with a 20-9 demolition of Sugar Land last night. And in golf, Victor Hovland topped Denny McCarthy in a playoff to win the Memorial Tournament in Dublin, Ohio. Jack Nicklaus's event, Scotty Scheffler finished 3rd.
And the Aces won 84-80 over the Fever last night.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure you got that WNBA fix that you all needed.
Wait, how many points did they score?
84.
To 54?
To 80.
Oh, okay.
All right. And
Yes, sir.
Brittany Griner will be the comeback player of the year.
MVP, maybe?
No, she's not going to be MVP. She will be comeback player of the year. Mark that down.
Thank you.
Mark the tape.
Thank you. Mark the tape.
There you go.
Somebody said OU softball team needs to undergo drug testing. No, they're just really damn good.
They're good.
They hit, they pitch. They're a juggernaut. And we've seen that in college athletics at times with, UConn women's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
They were back with John Wooden and UCLA in basketball back in the 60s and into the 70s. They dominated the sport like that. But, yes, they are really good, to say the least. 58-1, their record. Who beat them?
I don't know. Last year, their only loss was Texas.
Yep. During regular season, right?
Yep.
Was that the only loss, period?
That was their only loss last year, period.
Hey, did Texas beat them once this year?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, someone will tell me who beat the Sooners.
Hey, you can't win them all. Winning's hard.
Hey, listen, we got Longhorn baseball. Can we, I sent you some Twitter audio. Can we hear from LeBaron Johnson Jr. and David Pierce and the Longhorns after the tone was set on Saturday night for the Longhorns to win this regional. Obviously, Lucas Gordon and his start on Friday night got them off to a good start. Zane Morehouse looked better than we've seen him in a while in 2 innings of really good relief. That set the tone for your pitching staff. The defense and the Web Gems they put on the board on Friday were just unbelievable. Dylan Campbell's Superman catch, Eric Kennedy stealing a 3-run homer away from the Raging Cajuns. That was awesome. So great brand of baseball. But, boy, with the packed house, we know the Longhorns are not built to get into a loser's bracket. Their pitching staff, with all the injuries and what they're dealing with, is not ready for coming out, playing 2 games in a day and having to fight their way out. So you needed to stay in the winner's bracket. You're playing a top 10 team on the road. And as we said, LeBaron Johnson Jr., complete game, almost 130 pitches, and David Pierce trusted him to finish it. Here's a little bit of the postgame afterwards with LBJ, just doing what the ball club needed.
Throughout the fall, throughout this whole year, I've been grinding, really trying to work my way into helping the team in any way I could. And just to be able to, work my way into, doing that tonight, it was, still surreal to me.
One great game pitched by LBJ. And this is a kid that wasn't on the postseason roster last year. You talk about development. Talk about a kid that has just listened, has worked. He's one of the most humbling kids that you'll be around. He appreciates his teammates, and he went out there and just pitched his tail off. We got him some early runs. DC hit the 2-run homer. Jack hit the homer. But it's a really good team that LBJ just pitched against, and we just won. A lot of baseball left, and I'm just proud of our guys right now.
And yesterday, to fall behind 3-0, and Tanner Witt struggled. There's a couple that looked like warning track. Looked like he was going to give up a couple more home runs before he got out of that second inning, and fall behind 3-0, knowing that if Miami wins, you got to come back and play them again today. And instead, the Longhorns are up for 9 runs in the third inning to take control of that ball game. And so a little bit of everything: pitching, defense, offense came alive at the right time when you're trailing. Your veteran hitters, Dylan Campbell, continues his hitting streak. Jalen Flores, kind of one of the foundation for the future of the program. He and Jared Thomas really put a jolt.
A lot of young
one.
guys on this team.
Yeah, and they're learning from some pretty good players above them. And LBJ, one of the stories of the weekend, and the Longhorns avenge the Texas basketball team who lost that heartbreaker to Miami in the round of 8. In the basketball tournament, the baseball team does them a friendly, had their back. They
absolutely,
went and beat Miami.
Man.
So poor Hurricanes. That was quite the weekend. Good to see. Good to see for the Longhorns. And as we said, they're one of 9 teams who have advanced. 7 more today can find their way into the Sweet 16, including Texas Tech and TCU. And TCU, I got to tell you, that's the team no one wants to play right now because they won the Big 12 tournament. Remember, they scored all the runs in the Big 12 tournament? Like they put double digits up over and over again and won that thing. Well, now they've gone to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and the Arkansas Regional and picked it up. Let me give you these if you weren't paying attention to what was happening there in Fayetteville, where the homestanding Hogs were the favorites. They beat Arizona 12-4 on Friday night. TCU did. Then they turned around and beat Arkansas 20-5. I mean, they are swinging bats in that game. The 20-5 win, the kid hit 2 grand slams. The outfielder for TCU, for Kirk Sarlos' company, 20-5. So they're going to play Arkansas today. They've already scored 32 runs in 2 games. And now they got to deal with the Hogs again today, but they have 2 chances to beat Arkansas. And they will also advance. And if you're paying attention, they're going to, if TCU wins that, they'll go to Indiana State. They're locked up in the same side of the bracket with the Sycamores of Indiana State, who are already through. They won the Terre Haute Regional 3-0. So that's where TCU lines up. Texas Tech as a winner takes the region game today with the Florida Gators. Winners would face South Carolina. So good luck. And the worst performance of the weekend on a good, bad, and ugly Monday was Oklahoma State. Like literally the only team in the Big 12 to get to host a regional, and they got smoked.
Oh, yeah.
Dallas Baptist beat them 18-4 in the elimination game. They went 2 in barbecue on their home field in Stillwater for Coach Holla. That's tough. That is not good. And by the way, Oral Roberts came out of the bracket the 4 seed because they stunned Dallas Baptist to move on. Yeah.
Oral Roberts?
ORU.
They're in Oklahoma, though, right?
Tulsa.
Yeah.
Tulsa. Yeah, that's where the Longhorns got their sharpshooting guard, Max Acemus, who's coming in through the transfer portal. and or Oral Roberts. Longhorns played them during the regular season, if you remember way back. Several people have let us know that Baylor, the Baylor Bears ladies softball team, are the teams that beat Oklahoma way back in February, 50 games ago. So the Sooners have won 50 in a row. Pretty darn good. All right, so there's baseball. As we said, the teams that advance: Wake Forest, Alabama. That's gonna be a really good 1 versus 16 super regional this weekend at Wake Forest. Virginia is through. Texas is through. Oregon and Oral Roberts, both 4 seeds, advanced. And so I'm assuming the committee will pick the Oregon spot to host that based on stadium size. But who knows? Maybe they'll bring it to Tulsa. That'd be cool.
From what I watched last night, Oregon's got a squad. They're hot. They were hitting the piss out of the ball.
Well, this is this is the time of year. We've seen lower seeds get all the way to Omaha. Look, one of those, Oral Roberts or Oregon, are going to be in Omaha.
Yep.
Because then both are 4 seeds, so they'll both be there. And by the way, that when you talk about what side of the bracket, because once you get to Omaha, if you get there, you kind of start over with the format. You play a 4-team regional in Omaha, the 4 teams on the 3 other teams on your side of the bracket, and then the winners advance to play a best-of-3 championship series in Omaha. And the Longhorns are on the side of the bracket with Wake Forest and Alabama, I believe is the side that they're on. And then Tennessee, likely Southern Miss or Penn. Penn Quakers.
Quakers.
Could be another lower seed advancing. And then that LSU side of the bracket, LSU.
Penn ruling that Ivy League.
Yes. Well, right now, if the Longhorns were to advance, they'd likely match up with they're going to match up with the winner of the Wake Forest-Alabama Super Regional in Omaha. But they got things to do. And A&M will play Stanford tonight, and then the Longhorns will know who their opponent is. And we've asked that question all morning long of the Show of the People audience. Would you rather play A&M or would you rather play Stanford? I picked A&M because if A&M were to win tonight, you would still have a chance to be selected to host the regional.
Mm-hmm.
If Stanford wins it, you're going to the Sunken Diamond. You know that because they're a 1 seed.
I just don't know if I can bring myself to root for the Aggies.
You could try. Try, Ty. Come on. SEC's right around the corner.
That's you know how I feel about rooting for other teams in your conference. I'm definitely not doing that once we join the SEC.
Come on,
Ever.
man.
Or chanting SEC.
Oh no, you'll make those chants.
No.
You'll be
I'm okay
chanting
if you
SEC.
never chant SEC.
He will.
I hope that Chris.
He will. He'll start doing. He'll be doing that by the time he gets up to the Cotton Bowl. Believe me, he'll be
with the Oklahoma fans.
Yeah.
We'll be arm in arm.
Arm in arm going SEC. Yes.
No way.
Hey, by the way, Craig Way says that Oregon will host because Oregon's a 2 seed.
Yeah, I didn't think they were a 4 seed.
Well, on this bracket I'm looking at the NCAA website, they're in the same part of the quadrant as Oral Roberts, so I had them as a 4, but they were a 2, so Oregon will host that.
And they're
regional.
They're in the Nashville regional, right? Oregon was
in the Nashville. Yeah,
they beat Xavier last night.
Vanderbilt, Xavier, Eastern Illinois, a part of that Nashville. So Oregon, Oral Roberts, and Texas will wait on Stanford and A&M. A&M had their chance last night to go 3-0 and get out of there. They lost 13-5, and Stanford got it going. That's the kind of program, the kind of team, as Texas State, that you don't want to give new life. You'd like to have jumped on them last night, like Texas did to Miami, because I know there's not a Longhorn fan listening that wanted to come back and play Miami again.
No.
By the way, that Miami team, Buck, that kid, their best player, Yo-Yo Morales, that dude, the Longhorns did an unbelievable job against him. He hit a home run. He drove in 3 runs for them, but Yohandi Morales, they call him Yo-Yo, that is a good-looking player. I mean, he is 6'4". He hit some balls against Louisiana. I mean, just shades of Ivan Melendez last year, just bombs. That guy is a good-looking ball player, and the Longhorns did a real nice job against him over the weekend, limiting him and holding him down. He did have the 3 RBI yesterday, but 1 for 5, and LBJ did a great job against him on Saturday night, like he did everybody. So good for the Longhorns. They're through. There's some college baseball. A lot of college baseball to watch today. It really gets going. If you're a Tech fan, if you're a TCU fan, you're locked in today. And of course tonight, Texas A&M and Stanford. Also, while we're on baseball, got to give tip of the cap to Ty's Texas Rangers. This race between the Astros and Rangers in the AL West is going to be one fun ride this summer, because the Rangers are not only are they proving that this is not a fast start.
Not a facade,
this is a really good team. They're playing like the best team in baseball right now, and that's no joke. I mean, they score more runs than anybody. Their pitching staff has been outstanding, The bullpen has been their leakiest part, and that's actually been better here of late. And, they just bash people. They batter you. And as we said, the numbers for the Rangers, gaudy. They're only the third team in 100 years to score this many runs, to score 10 or more runs this many times in the first 60 games of a season. And it's the 36 Yankees, Buck. 36 Yankees. You can tell me who was on that team. 36? You got a lineup for me? 36 Yankees and the 99 Mariners, and that 99 Mariners team scored a ton of runs. Was that
Griffey?
Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, and that group. I mean, this Ranger lineup, and it's well built. But I gotta give. Look, there's a lot of baseball to go. There's only 58 games in for them. They're 38-20. But I give Chris Young has done a great job since taking over for John Daniels, and the ownership group has they got a new ballpark. And you give them credit for spending the money. I mean, they spent $500 million to bring in Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Those two are paying huge dividends. Semien is playing like an MVP right now at the top of the order for them in that 23-game hitting streak. Seager has come back from his injury, and he's, as Ty said, they can't shift anymore defensively in baseball, which has helped him a lot because he hit into more shifts than anybody last year, and his production is up. But that whole lineup produces. I mean, Adolis Garcia, right up there with Yordan Alvarez for the
Josh Young
RBI lead. Josh Young's going to be the Rookie of the Year. Jonah Heim, the catcher, who had a big game yesterday.
Yeah, the back end of that lineup is pretty good.
Well, and that's what leads to double-digit runs when you just wear out a pitching staff and turn it over and keep turning it over, and one time through, two times through, that Ranger team is wearing people out. And Nathan Eovaldi, give them credit. That's probably the best signing by any team so far from the offseason. I mean, to get Nathan Eovaldi in there as a free agent, he's not just turned into a good pitcher. He's the ace, and he's on his way to the All-Star game. He's 8-2 now and has been pretty much untouchable his last couple of months of baseball. So Rangers locked in. Astros just 3.5 back, though, and Astros are going to chase them all year long, it looks like.
Has there been any updates on DeGrom? Are we just kind of
just
waiting?
After the All-Star break, I told you.
I think they're being careful.
All-Star break.
All right with me.
Yeah, I'm with it.
This team has
There's no reason to rush it.
This team has helped me rediscover my love for baseball.
Hey.
I honestly, at least MLB-wise, I'll always watch Texas Longhorns baseball, of course, but the last 10 years, MLB-wise,
DeGrom will be back after the All-Star
October,
break.
I'm not watching much.
But you'll be doing this every year with DeGrom. You know that, right?
It's all right.
This says,
right.
I'm a Rangers fan, but the Rays are the best team in the American League and the best in baseball. Well, numbers would tell you differently. Now, the Rays' record is better. They're 42-19. They've played more games than the Rangers. But think about this. The Rangers have played fewer games than the Rays, but they've scored 25 more runs than
the
the Rays.
Rays start was incredible.
And the Rays are good. I think right now you start ranking the best teams in baseball. The Rangers have been great at home. Their run differential, the Texas Rangers, is 152. They've outscored their opponents by 152 runs. That's a whopping total. No one else, except for the Rays, are over 100.
Well, what the Rays are doing in the AL East,
yes,
that's probably the best.
And that's what was
baseball.
impressive when the Rangers went in and played the Baltimore Orioles, who were in second place in that really good division, and they took 2 out of 3, really dominated the Orioles in that series. That's an intention getter, and the Rangers beat the Astros 2 out of 3 in their first matchup. They don't play again, by the way. I looked it up yesterday. When next time the Rangers and Astros play? It's not till the end of this month. It's end of June into July. It's a 4-game series up in Arlington, which will be much attended and much anticipated to see the top 2 teams. Because Houston and Texas are in that conversation of the best 2 teams in that league, in the American League. Rays are in that argument, and Baltimore and the Yankees for sure. But Houston with that pitching staff, because Houston's allowed the fewest runs in all of baseball. Their pitching staff continues to be great. They didn't lose yesterday because they didn't get good pitching. They only gave up 2 runs to the Angels, but they didn't score any runs. When the Astros score 5 or more runs, they're almost unbeatable right now because their pitching staff has an ERA of 3.18, which is their full staff, which is best in baseball. All right, we'll come back, which is a cool clash with the Rangers and their offense, Astros and their pitching. It's going to be a fun summer. We'll come back. More on college baseball. Also, we'll get a flex segment. Craig Way has his report, and you're going to want to hear the Salacious Gossip segment. You'll never believe the sport that the country of Sweden has registered. It's a sport now, it appears. Truth coming on B&E. Bud Light, folks. Hope you had a great Bud Light weekend, enjoying them and watching the Longhorns or watching some baseball, whatever you were doing. Certainly out at the Austin FC match on Saturday night. You had to have a few cold Bud Lights to weather out the weather storm. There was about a 2-hour delay because of that haymaker that rolled through. But whatever you're doing, always do it safely and smart. But do it with the number one selling light beer in the world. That has been for 4 decades, and it's for a very simple reason. It's brewed in Texas by Texans for Texans. Only 4 simple ingredients that give you that crisp, refreshing Bud Light flavor every single time. Also, the official domestic beer partner of your Texas Longhorns, of the Texas X's and the Texas OU game. Football season inside 90 days now, counting them down. Longhorn baseball team, 3 wins away from getting, or 2 more wins away from getting to Omaha again for a 39th time. Have those Bud Lights with it all the way through. Do it safely. Always have a plan. Always be smart when you do enjoy an experience with your cold Bud Lights, but do it with Bud Light and our great friends at Brown Distributing and all that they do to help our community. Over 500 charitable events they donate to each and every year, and Bucky's Golf Tournament being one of them. It's a nice cold Bud Light brewed by Texans for Texans. Number one selling light beer in the world. Yeah, the kid with 2 grand slams for TCU yesterday in the 20-run outburst for the Red Hot Horned Frogs was Trey Richardson. Our man Mike Hardge reminded us, transferred from Baylor. And TCU is a team that is red hot right now, to say the least. They are cruising through that Fayetteville, Arkansas region, already with 2 wins, double-digit runs in both games. And they have 2 chances to beat the Hogs today to move on to the round of 16 like the Longhorns have. So plenty of college baseball out there. Good stuff. Also on the Astros. Somebody reminded Astros and Rangers. Rangers play the Rays this week.
Yeah.
Which will be a clash of the American League Titans this week, which will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Rangers playing excellent baseball, to say the least, as we were talking about. So that'll be fun to look forward to this weekend. In addition to an NBA Finals series, Buck, that looks like it's a real live series now. The Heat, getting that win, stealing home court back, finding a way in the fourth quarter to put 36 points on the board. Michael Malone, the head coach of the Nuggets, would tell you it was their poor defense that allowed the Heat to shoot nearly 70% from the floor in that final 12 minutes. But either way, the Heat are there. And shouldn't be surprised, right? They went through the Bucks and the Celtics from the Eastern Conference on their way to this spot. So
they just needed game one. That's why game one didn't mean as much as you thought. I mean, They just found out what they had to do against Denver, and I think they figured it out. Go ahead and give the big guy all the points that he'd like to have, but don't let him have all those assists to go along with it, and get everybody else involved, and make sure that the lane is clogged up, because his assists and his passing is so precise. They score easy buckets off his assists. They're not all three-point shots that he throws out there to guys.
Well, he's such a unique player. He forces you to pick your poison, right? If you want to try to stop him and double team him and throw gimmick defenses at him, he's too smart for it, and he's going to find open people. And that team
his
will make
26 points and 17 assists will really kill you.
I mean, it's when he's 26 and 17 assists, you're getting beat because that team's too talented.
That's right.
When you give the Nuggets so much credit that they've, Nikola Jokic wasn't a high pick. I mean, he was a second-round draft pick who's developed into a great player. But Jamal Murray was a high pick. Aaron Gordon, who they acquired from Orlando, was a fourth pick in the draft. Michael Porter Jr. was a first-round draft pick, top 15, and a kid that would have been a much higher pick had he not had injuries through his high school career coming through. That team is so talented. You got to let Jokic kind of just beat you, right? And as we said, the Nuggets are now 0-3 when he scores 40 or more points in these playoffs. So the strategy is there. Let him get his, cover the heck out of everybody else, and then obviously in the final quarter and end of games, you got to execute and make shots. The Lakers couldn't do that. Lakers had their chances. Yes, they got swept, but every one of the 4 losses was a winnable game for the Lakers in the last minute and a half. They just didn't make buckets. The Heat made the shots last night and went at 111-108.
Yeah,
good series.
As I said, Jimmy Butler looks like the guy who now is ready to take whoever he has with him in the fourth quarter. He's going to take those shots in the fourth quarter.
He was just okay for most of the game, but fourth quarter, he had 8 of his 21 and delivered when they needed it most. By the way, on the baseball side with his TCU team, I knew it was a crazy number, but Buck, do you realize they went to the Big 12 tournament, and they came into the Big 12 tournament off of a nice winning series and a winning week. They beat Texas State on the 16th of May. They took 2 out of 3 from Kansas State, but they by no means felt like a team that was just on fire. They did sweep Baylor, but Baylor's no good. But, man, they went to the Big 12 tournament, won 4 straight games. They scored run totals in that Big 12 tournament 16, 14, 6, and 12 when they beat Oklahoma State 12-5 to close it out. And now they've got 12 and 20 on the board in 2 games in Fayetteville. I mean, they are Kirk Saarloos' team peaking at the right time, to say the least. Longhorns hope they are as well, as they've gotten through, and they'll wait on the winner of Stanford and Texas A&M tonight. Can we hit a quick flex segment? Keeping up with the high school ranks around Central Texas. We do it with FLXATX.com. Join that movement. And the movement are the Westlake Chaparrals. Chaparrals, Ty, what do you prefer? Owls or L's?
Chaparrals.
Chaps. Congrats to them. They are into the state championship round at the Dell Diamond this weekend after they swept San Antonio Johnson a couple of games over the weekend. Unfortunate for the Rouse Raiders, Leander Rouse, they lost back-to-back games after taking the first game of their series with Bernie Champion. They had some errors in that closeout game, didn't play their best game on Saturday, and they were eliminated, so that 1 win shy of making it to the Dell Diamond. But if you're looking at it, Westlake is got what a year they've had. Westlake, the Chaps, who will play Friday night in a semifinal against Pearland out of southwest Houston. Westlake now 40-4. 40-4 on the year. They pitch, they hit, they're clutch. Kid named Jack Brady pitched a great game in their closeout game of Janet Johnson. They pitch like crazy. So 40-4 now. They'll face Pearland. The other 2 teams on the other side, Cypress Woods and Flower Mound at the Dell Diamond, 4 o'clock on Friday. Westlake will play the following game, Westlake and Pearland in the nightcap. Those are the only 2 teams left. Bernie Champion, who eliminated the Rouse Raiders, will play Argyle at the Dell Diamond on Thursday. Magnolia West and Frisco Reedy are the other 2 teams at the 5A level. So looking forward to the baseball championships. The Dell Diamond hosts most of them. There's also some games of the 4A semifinal will be over at UFCU Dish-Falk Field and the championship game. But Dell Diamond ready to host the weekend.
Yeah, they got a bunch of games there.
Oh, man, starting Wednesday with the 1As. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Dell Diamond will be jam-packed. The state championship game, by the way, if Westlake's able to get there, would be Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock at Dell Diamond, June 10. So this says, my Pearland Oilers pitching staff will be no joke up in Round Rock. Their 2 starters are silly. They have a great athletic program at Pearland. So really good. They have success in a lot of sports. Speaking of that, coming up in our Salacious Gossip, we'll hear the new sport from the country of Sweden that they've delivered to us. Okay?
I'm ready for that.
Me too. Good, bad, and ugly from the weekend that was as we crank this thing up. By the way, did you see what Micah Parsons said about the Cowboys' defense? Micah Parsons, Ty, did you see this?
I did not.
Best ever.
Well, I mean, Micah Parsons has a high opinion of this defense, and why wouldn't he? He drew a parallel to the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, the Bullies of Baltimore. That's what the kind of defense this can be.
Slow down there. Slow your roll.
Oh, yeah. Micah Parsons, bringing it.
Yeah, I think you should just slow his roll on that, E.
What do you mean? He has confidence in his team. The defense coordinator is back for a 3rd year. They've added pieces. Stephon Gilmore to play the corner opposite Trayvon Diggs. They've added the draft picks, the big defensive tackle from Michigan in the 1st round to help bring some run support to what they're doing. You're better. They didn't lose any real significantly. Yeah, DeMarvion Overshown as a 3rd round pick. Yeah, he drew a parallel to we could be like that. Yeah. 23 Cowboys defense to the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, which, of course, they won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. Have you seen that 30 for 30?
Yes.
The Bullies of Baltimore? That's a good one.
Certainly is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's what I'll say for Micah Parsons. He's confident. He feels good about it. His 3rd year in the league, he's getting better and better, working on his pass rush moves. But, if that's the bar you're setting for your team, that's pretty good. Because that's one of the greatest 2 or 3 defenses in the history of the league.
Hey, the big boy in the middle.
Saragusa and Sam Adams.
Good Lord.
Saragusa and Sam Adams in the middle of that defense. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed.
There was a lot of poundage in there.
Well, they just didn't give up anything. They just crushed people. Now, obviously, if that's where Micah Parsons is saying, he's, that's a high bar to reach. And if they do, this is what Mike McCarthy's talking about. He maybe the falling out between he and Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, is, why are we keep throwing the ball and turning the ball over? Our defense is tremendous. Let's stop putting our defense in bad spots. Let them win the game for us. That's obviously the McCarthy way. Now, that Ravens team was 23 years ago now. The game has changed. You're going to have to score some points. The Philadelphia Eagles in your own division are going to put 20, 30 points on the board consistently. I think that's a good strategy if that's where they're going. Run the ball, play great defense, let Dak Prescott manage the game, and let this team be the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that means you got to score 26 to 30 points a game still.
Probably, yeah, to win the Super Bowl. Now, we can win a lot of games, low scoring. And look,
sure.
I'm assuming Mike McCarthy's looking
17-game season.
I mean, Mike McCarthy saw what happened when the backup quarterback came in when Dak got hurt last year, right? They watered it down.
Mm-hmm.
They limited.
Kept it simple
for Cooper Rush. Let the defense control the game and dominate the game. And obviously Dak came back, and we know when he was healthy, he started throwing a lot of interceptions, led the league in interceptions, even with 5 games missed. And, those turnovers lead to losses and lead to playoff disappointment for the Dallas Cowboys. That's obviously the goal, is to eliminate those. Plus, on offense, they have, Brandon Cooks is a new weapon. Another year of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup a year healthier. So they will score some points. They just want to be more conservative and careful to let the defense win.
They don't want the turnovers to kill them.
No, they're killers. I mean, what are the numbers when you lose the turnover battle?
Goodness.
You mostly lose the game. Does someone have to get involved in murder first for the Cowboys to really compare? Come on. Talking about Ray Lewis. Let's not do that. This says Tony Banks was the starter for the 2000 Ravens, and then Trent Dilfer replaced him, but he did lead them to the Super Bowl as the game manager. See?
Yeah, I still haven't seen anybody like Saragusa yet for them.
Well, they took Mozzie Smith out of Michigan.
That's what we're going to have to see, is that position.
That's a powerhouse on the interior. That is a strong young man for Michigan. Now, he's not much of a pass rusher, but the Cowboys have plenty of that, right? They got other guys that can rush the passer, and they're hoping to free up, add to Marvion Overshown as another striker off the edge for them to go with DeMarcus
Very
Lawrence.
interesting in how they play him.
And
because I believe he's going to be playing a lot.
Well, look, teams realized last year after the quick start for the Cowboys and even weathering the Dak Prescott injury that they could, the people realized pretty quickly that you could run on the Cowboys. And so, okay, let's start running the ball. Let's just pound this team, and we'll be able to move the football and avoid that great pass rush and keep ourselves where we want to be. And then Dak will turn the ball over, and we'll be able to win the game. If you're going to try to be more conservative with the offense and you stuff the run better, which is what the hope of Mozzie Smith and some of their additions have been, well, then you're putting the quarterback in tough situations. Who's the most ferocious defense you ever saw, Bob?
Besides the Bears?
No. Are they the number one most ferocious defense you ever saw?
Yes.
I agree with you on that. And that's
and then I'd have to throw in the Doomsday defense, that group.
I was a kid at the time, but
they were pretty ferocious too.
Formative years, the 85 Bears.
Yes.
I mean, they just killed quarterbacks. Oh. They killed them. I mean, Richard.
They killed the run too. I mean,
Mike Singletary in the middle.
They killed the run.
Killed
they
the
killed
run
everything.
First, and then Buddy Ryan's 46 defense would get after it, and just player name. This is what the Cowboys want to be. They want to come after you with multiple pass rushers from all angles. And Dan Quinn, in his third year, I think this team is really understanding his concept of positionless football and how to swarm people and get quarterbacks on the ground. Because if you can avoid your own turnovers and then your defense forces turnovers to give back to your offense, that's obviously the goal of any team.
And I would think the most consistent NFL defense of all time would be, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. They're they don't have to crush you. They play their defense. They know how to play their defense.
All right. Well, there's Micah Parsons drawing a parallel over the weekend to the Ravens. Pretty good one. We'll be back. We will hit your blitz. Also, salacious gossip. You're going to want to hear this. I promise. First, Craig Way. No games, just gossip. As we mentioned, our man Jamal Charles will be in the house in the next hour. Of course, one of the great running backs in Longhorn history, NFL. Great player there. He's back in town. And he's doing some great work for the Boys and Girls Club. We'll tell you about that and talk some football with Jamal Charles. Salacious Gossip brought to you by the Icy Cold Bud Lights, Buck. And, Jamal brought his son, Isaiah, with him.
Oh, yeah.
So this might be a little PG-13 for him. Hopefully he's out in the hallway not hearing this. But
yes.
The country of Sweden, we like how the Nordics do things sometimes. Sweden. You ever been to Sweden? Anybody ever been to Sweden?
Not here.
Might want to go now. So we told you earlier that Texas is competing with Stanford for the Director's Cup, best athletic department in the country. And part of the impressiveness for Texas is they don't compete in nearly as many sports as Stanford does. And so, they have more opportunities to acquire points, but they compete in sailing. The women do squash. They have a women's squash team, water polo, lacrosse, gymnastics, fencing, men's and women's. So congrats to the Longhorns. But I don't think anybody is going to sanction this as an NCAA sport, but the country of Sweden is the first country to register sex as a sport. Yes. It's a lot more structured than you might think, Buck. Sweden has become the first country to register sex as a sport. Later this week, they'll host the first ever European Championship. This year's competitors have already been chosen. I don't know how.
Wow.
20 representatives from different European countries will be a part of it.
16 disciplines involved.
Yes. According to the organizers, the focus as a sport is on maximizing pleasure.
Are we sending Nick Cannon as a representative?
Nick Cannon.
No, it's not a breeding competition.
It's not the Breeders' Cup.
So the more pleasure you provide your partner, the more points you get. Participants will be judged on creativity, strong emotions, imagination, physical fitness, endurance, and workability.
There you go.
Workability.
You have to be able to work together.
The final scores will be determined by a panel of judges as well as an audience of votes. It's unclear how you qualify to be in the audience.
Very similar like that game Operation, if you hit the size of the thing, bam, the nose goes off.
Who gets to judge this? What makes them an expert? That's where Nick Cannon could be, Yeah, so Sweden.
Getting it done.
Will this be televised? Are they going to test for PEDs or what? What are we doing here?
Who's picking this up? ESPN?
The Ocho. It'll be on the Ocho soon enough.
Sponsored by Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Remember, it's about pleasure, Buck.
That's right.
Do you think there's controversy in your favorite sport of women's figure skating?
Oh, my goodness.
What's the Russian judge going to be looking for?
My goodness.
The Russian judge was smoking cigarettes, looking
Marlboros.
for technique. What's the triple sow cow?
Wow. Coming off the chandelier.
Somebody said Tristan Thompson would be
the
GOAT.
There you go. Now you're talking. Magic Wand will be there.
Ime Udoka?
Ime Udoka. Yeah, who would be the stars of the American sex team? I don't know, man. That's too good. But yes, somebody said affordability. I didn't say affordability. They'll be judged on emotions, imagination, play, physical fitness, endurance, and workability. I don't know what workability means.
Have to have a pretty good work ethic there too, Ty.
Oh no.
Right.
Earmuffs for the kids. But the challenges are grouped into 16 disciplines, including seduction, massage, Oral Roberts University, and full-on you-know-what. So good luck to the participants. We'll have updates if we can. Okay? Okay.
I'll take it upon myself to be responsible.
Will you keep up with this, Ty?
Please do. You and the Pastor Smasher keep up with this.
Ooh, Pastor Smasher would be a good one. When we have that caller, we don't tell that tale of that where he got his nickname.
Oh God!
You ever hear that? You never hear the Pastor Smasher story, Ty? That was the Major League. Remember Ben Zobrist, the great Major League Baseball player?
Yeah.
Well, he was playing for the Cubs, and he and his wife were having a hard time. Remember, when he played for the Cubs, he had to take a leave of absence because of this, because his wife was going to see the pastor for counseling. And it turned out the pastor was smashing his wife. He found out about it, and he was like thrown for a loop because he was his pastor, and they were friends, and they were going to counseling, and then he'd go on a road trip, and
pastor would be smashing.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's great.
He almost had to quit baseball because of it. He was just thrown for such a loop. Okay, there you go.
Sorry about that.
Well, we told you, you probably wouldn't believe what Sweden's up to, but yes.
Somebody said, I guess I'm moving to Sweden.
Hey, how about this? Could you guys control your dogs? You said the U.S. Postal Service says over 5,300 of its workers were attacked by dogs last year. We have a new number one city for dog attacking mailmen, Houston.
Oh, of course.
The H.
My dog freaked out on one last year. It was crazy. Never had taken my dog on a walk and him act like that towards a human, but the mailman.
57.
There's something.
U.S. Postal Service attacks in Greater Houston.
Is it the uniform? The
Followed
smell?
by
What is
L.A., Dallas, Zeke Elliott. Where's Zeke Elliott when you need
of course,
him?
Zeke Elliott's dog.
Cleveland and San Diego. So be careful with your dogs. Don't let them bite the mailman. Let's go to your blitz.
Here we go. First blitzer, you're up.
Yes, Lee Sterling, could you please send your daughter to Austin so she can sing the national anthem? This is the University of Texas hosting committee.
Yeah,
Oh,
Lee
the hosting
Sterling's daughter would be great to sing the national anthem. Remember, she helps him on that Super Bowl bet every year
Absolutely.
and gets it right.
There you go. Next blitzer, you're up.
Dude, ban that creeper, man. You guys do better. Hey, did you guys hear that Taco Bell's trying to petition to try and get Taco Tuesday to be an actual real thing? Bucky, can you do your job and see if the WNBA is on board with that?
Here's the W. Thank you.
I'm fine.
Next blitzer, you're up.
For Aggies.
Well, we'll see. They have one more chance tonight at
Another
Palo
shot at
Alto.
it. Next blitzer, you're up.
Hey, someone bail me out. This is R. Kelly.
Oh,
Kelly.
gee. Next blitzer, talk to us.
You want to be a part of that team?
You know, I was taking issue with the NCAA committee. They did a piss poor job selecting the seating. And I would love it for A&M to come over here, but watch out. They're going to make them host.
Ooh. Hoping that doesn't happen.
Hoping that doesn't happen. Well, we'll see. Texas, and we'll try to explain that again coming up. I mean, the short answer to who would host if Texas A&M wins tonight is we don't know. And the selection has not been made. It won't be made until it becomes official. And when it does, the committee that seeded the tournament will be the deciding factor of who hosts. And we'll run through the criteria. And, everybody I've heard from both sides says we don't know. We don't know. We'll submit a bid, and then the NCAA will
make their decision,
make their call, and the baseball selection committee, D1 baseball. We'll come back when we do. Very fun visit. Excited to talk to Jamal Charles, lifetime Longhorn, doing great in our community and living in town in his retirement. So we'll talk to Jamal about what he's up to. Talk some Texas football as well. It's a busy Monday here on B&E.
Folks, AV Consultation, Tom McKay and the gang over there, believe me, they will get the entertainment system of your dreams all set up just for you. That way you don't have to shop for the TV, then the surround sound, and then all the equipment that's necessary to mount that TV. Tom will do that himself. Audiovisual Consultation is one of the largest dealers of most television and audio brands. They've got it all right there in stock, the hottest brands in stock just for you. Not only is Tom stock the hard-to-get smart TVs, how about the Sonos audio systems also? And they're not raising the prices like a lot of others have. Audiovisual Consultations, give them a call today at 512-255-8678 or catch them online at abconsultations.com.
Being here with you, final hour on this Monday morning. Rainy to start your day this morning, but sunshine now, which is a good thing. A lot of big conversations today. Longhorn baseball, really, really impressive in Coral Gables. 3 days, 3 wins. Took out Miami twice and eliminated the Hurricanes, returning the favor. Of course, Hurricane basketball eliminated Texas basketball this year in the Elite Eight. Baseball team got their back, and they will now wait on the winner of tonight's Texas A&M Stanford contest. The winner will either host Texas or play here in Austin this weekend in a super regional. And, Buck, we talked about the Directors' Cup. Listen how close this is. So Stanford's women's softball team is playing Oklahoma in the College World Series. They're probably not going to beat Oklahoma, so they've advanced as far as they can.
There's a good chance that they will not win that.
Oklahoma's won 50 games in a row. But Stanford will play them, and this is why I said earlier, and you need to be rooting for Texas A&M tonight. I know it's impossible to root for Aggies if you're a Longhorn fan. But, so if the Aggies win tonight, that would mean that Stanford doesn't advance further. And the women's softball team likely won't advance any further.
Right.
They're going to lose to Oklahoma. That would mean Texas would need to advance to the College World Series to gain 9 additional Directors' Cup points, and they would be on their way to a three-peat. Right now, Stanford leads the point total 1,376 to 1,372.
That fencing team.
and the others. But so root for the Aggies. I know Ty's in there throwing up in his own mouth. I mean, I don't want to root for the Aggies, but
not happening.
3 reasons. One, the Aggies are ranked 24th in the country. The Stanford Cardinals are ranked 8th. If you're going to play somebody, you'd rather play the lower-ranked team. B, you still have a chance to host the regional if you're Texas. If the bids come in and Texas can host that regional, and you have a chance to win the Directors Cup.
That's true.
3 reasons to root for the Aggies. Our next guest would probably never root for the Aggies. I don't know. He is a lifetime Longhorn and one of the greatest players in Texas football history. And now he's doing great work here in Central Texas. Jamal Charles. Jamal Charles is here. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's good to have you, man.
I'm excited.
Now, we'll talk about your event coming up, but we were just talking in the break. You've got 3 kids, and you're living out in Lake Travis now. You got 2 daughters, and your son Isaiah's here with you.
Yeah, I got Isaiah in the house.
and as you said, your girls are playing all kinds of sports and raising a family now.
Raising a family man now. I'm a father, husband. That's my life now, you know what I'm saying?
Citizen.
Life after
Good
football.
Citizen.
What is that like? I mean, Jamal, you can only speak to you, but you're only 36 years old, and your professional career and what you grew up to do is over, and now you're becoming a father full time and doing things like this with the Boys and Girls Club that we're going to talk about coming up. But has that been a challenge for you to transition out of football and into something new?
Oh yeah, it's hard, you know what I'm saying, knowing football your whole life, and then next it ends like a blink of an eye, and then you're trying to figure out what's the next solution after life after football. So it was a hard transition, just trying to figure out what's the next plan, what to do next. But for sure, growing up and you know what I'm saying, that's all you breathe, football. But now when I raise my kids now, I don't want them to depend on one opportunity, one sport. I want them to do other things in education-wise.
Yeah, it's incredible when your life has been so structured for you. Now all of a sudden you become the structure for somebody else now. Your children now, you have to become that structure. You and your wife have to become the structure for others. Your responsibility is a little bit different.
Yeah.
No, it's not a little bit different. It's a lot different.
It's totally different when you relied on yourself for so long, from 19 teenager to college,
mm-hmm.
and not having a family, not having a wife, and now going in the NFL and having a family, now you got responsibilities. Now you start to figure out what I have to do to take care of my family for the rest of my life.
He's a lifetime Longhorn, a Longhorn national champion. Of course, 2-time first-team All-Pro as well in the National Football League. Read the NFL in rushing in, a couple times you did that. Freshman of the year in the Big 12. Man, the list goes on and on. So you're one of the greatest players at that position. Bucky coached running backs when he was at Texas. Mm-hmm. But where do you put – what do you think of watching Bijan Robinson for a couple of years here at Texas?
Bijan is special, man. I was able to. He's a humble guy. He's a good kid. He got a gray head on his shoulder. He's a hard worker. I'm so proud of what Bijan did at the University of Texas. Tried to be a leader. He's an outstanding player, and then he's one of them players that it's rare to see like that talent he have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very special, and you were very special, not only here but at Kansas City, which was, where Priest Holmes spent some of his time, and to watch both of you guys and to watch you. When it was a Jamal, did you had to figure out the real physicality of that position? I mean, the physicality different in the NFL than it was when you were in college, when it was bone on bone. Mm. Because I always told these guys when I went to an NFL practice, guys practice without shoulder pads and helmet. The sound of the guys grabbing each other and running backs running full speed through the line without shoulder pads on. I mean, and this is when I was a young coach. I went and I was like, wait a minute, this sounds harder than the college game with pads on.
Yeah, the different levels of playing in the NFL. I'm being a pup coming in like 20, 21, and you playing against 38, 39-year-old, and it's a different level, man. And I injured one time. I injured something in my foot that I never imagined, like the injured. Like that's the difference playing at a high level. You playing that you gonna injure something that you never worked on in your whole career. It's weird, and I'm like, it's playing at a high level like that is you gotta take care of your body. You gotta have your mind straight, mentally health. You gotta have everything in order to be prepared to play at that level, because it's a different type of level.
And when you say mentally, I mean you've got your preparation all the time. I mean, because there are ups and there's got to be, and as many ups as you have, there has to be that many downs. Because when somebody's looking for your job every single year, it's got to be mentally. You got to be knowing exactly. You have to be right on your P's and Q's of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish.
Oh yeah, it's just not even. It's not that. It's the coaches. You know what I'm saying? Coaches getting in your head and beating you up and telling you that, hey, you need to get your stuff together. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to come to play. You didn't come to. You can do better. Like I can't say the words what they would say, but it's just that, you know what I'm saying? Like
coaches talk like that.
I look around in my neighborhood and people baby the kids, and I said once they get to a different level, these kids got to have a mental strong head, because when you get to play on a high level like that, them coaches, all they care about is their job. They got to eat too. Like people don't understand that. They got to take care of their family, and if you messing up, they household don't eat either.
Yeah, that's right. That's why coaches would tell you the best ability is dependability. You got to be able to rely on you to be here, be on time, play your job, do your job. Speaking of Bijan Robinson, this year he went past Jamal Charles into fourth place on the all-time rushing list at Texas. But both of those two, and both of you guys only played 3 years, right? Earl Campbell, Ricky Williams, Cedric Benson above it. But so you guys are very similar in your statistics, and off to the National Football League for Bijan, and you, of course, had a stellar NFL career. Jamal Charles is with us and doing good stuff. I'm assuming you're because you have your family, your kids, and your wife. That's what your job is now. But you have your extended Longhorn family. Now, Buck and I always talk about how great it is that all you guys are so close as players and teammates, and now adults and fathers. I know a bunch of your teammates live out there in Lake Travis where you're living, and some have opened up cupcake shops, and some are doing other things. But that's pretty cool that you have your own family, but even in the transition of post-football, you have your Longhorn family.
Oh, yeah. I'm happy to continue a brotherhood with some of my old teammates that I grew up in college with. Derek Johnson, I played with him at University. I didn't play with him at University of Texas, but it just had a relationship when we moved on to Kansas City and just connected at Kansas City. He was a legend there. So, and I came in with Corn Cosby. Me and Corn Cosby came in the same year at University of Texas. And Michael Griffin and them guys we all connected, and we have kids around the same age. And Michael Huff, the same thing. He took me in like a brother at University of Texas, and Brian Ripo, we still click like today, they're best friends. So all of them guys I mentioned, they're gonna be helping with the game day with the football camp coming up on Friday from 9 to 1. I'm excited about it. Giving back to the community, giving back to the kids. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, that's right. Jamal and Friends game day. It's it's for the boys and girls clubs of Central Texas, and you, as you said, you're the face on it with the NFL legend Jamal Charles. But as he said, the skills clinic and flag football game will also be attended by Derek Johnson, Quan Cosby, Michael Griffin, Brian Arakpo, Michael Huff, and more could be joining there. It's going to be at the home club on out there on Ed Bluestein in East Austin. There, coming up on Friday from 9 until after lunch at 1 o'clock. Kids are out of school now, Buck.
Oh yeah. I'm a member of the Boys and Girls Club of America for 55 years. I still have a Boys and Girls. I still have a blue card as a Boys and Club.
You used to go there after school.
I used to spend Saturdays. It was you're going to the Boys Club on the south side of town.
Okay.
We'll come and pick you up at about 5-6 o'clock in the evening. I'd be there first thing in the morning. Wow. I'd be there all day long. There were activities at the Boys and Girls Club.
Keep you out of trouble.
Oh,
yeah, keep you out of
absolutely.
trouble.
Just kept. And you're talking about continue to be. As the start of being structured, that's where I got my first start was the Boys and Girls Club. As a matter of fact,
that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Well, and Jamal is here and putting on a great event. And as you said, this is what you like to do now: take care of your family and then give back. Mike Coffin is also here from the Boys and Girls Club, who's helping to put this on. And you just said you've been working at the Boys and Girls Club, the best job you ever had.
Absolutely. Yep.
Tell us the mission of the Boys and Girls Club and why this is special to have somebody like Jamal helping to bring some of his buddies out there to spearhead this event.
Well, thanks, Erin. Thanks, Bucky. Appreciate being on the show to people.
Mike's been listening for a while.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Sorry for
every day.
Every day. Well, Mike, again, Boys and Girls Club. As Bucky said, he still got a card. I grew up working with kids, and there's so many kids out there that don't have structure at home. As I talk about structure, that the Boys and Girls Club can give them that and get them on a good path.
Yeah, we had our spring luncheon, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And CDC was our featured speaker, and he told the greatest stories, and he was cracking everybody up. But the best one he told cracked himself up a little bit. He had to choke up as he was talking about I didn't know this, but he was a member of the Boys and Girls Clubs himself. And he talked about people that poured themselves into him, people that gave him a vision of himself that he couldn't see yet. And I think that's what we do at Boys and Girls Clubs. We pour in.
Pour in.
And we're in the hope and opportunity business.
Well, and and we know there are so many bad paths that kids can choose if they don't have that structure and that are out there. This is an opportunity, Jamal, for kids to, as Buck said, and CDC and so many others to find that good path.
Yeah, me and my wife been on the board for the last 5 years. We've been in the community with the Boys and Girls Club. We had hosted a football camp last year. So, I mean, my thing is just inspiring kids. The kids is the future. I try to give the kids hope when I go up to the club and just try to pour into them, talk to them, and give them love. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't have the love at home. Some people can get it anywhere. I value my money with them, and I value my time with them. So I just go up there and just do what I can and trying to make the Austin community better.
Yeah, your time is so much more worth than it is than money. I mean, it really is. I mean, there are kids. Yeah, there'll be kids that will come to the Boys and Girls Club of Austin that are struggling to have a meal. You know,
yeah.
they come there hungry.
Mm-hmm.
They come to that place and their stomachs are aching because they didn't have a meal. They didn't have a lunch. They don't know what dinner is going to be like when they get home.
Yeah.
But it's, as I said, it was such a great foundation for me. I'm one of 8 kids.
Okay.
So I was the oldest of 8, and all my brothers spent their time at the Boys Club, and it's just, as I said, what they do for you and your time, and just talking to kids sometimes just needs to be talked with.
Yeah.
You know, not talked to, but talked with. They want to talk to you. They want to communicate back with you and engage with you. And you know, we get a lot of things as coaches and players. You know, we get a lot of stories to tell, and it's like you want to hear theirs. What was your story of the day, young man, young woman? What did you get out of this day? And it's incredible. It's just I can't be more thankful than that was my start, and for what you're doing there and what you're doing, Mike, it's the start for kids. And you'd be surprised that there'll be old timers like myself and Mike that'll come back, 20, 30, 40 years and say, I remember the Boys and Girls Club and what they did for me. And that's an important thing that I think this country still has.
People like to complain about things, and this is a way to get involved and actually help shape your community and help a young person.
And it's going to help those kids out too. I mean, and those kids are going to help the next group, the next generation of kids, which is fantastic.
I mean, I like the club, man. You hear so many amazing stories about these kids coming to the club and going to college and graduating with GPS off the charts. Like, it's awesome. Like, some of these kids just need a support system, and that's what I needed growing up, a support system, and that's what I'm here for. I'm just here to pour into the community.
Yeah, I mean, and your story itself, Jamal, is one where you were competing in the Special Olympics as a kid because you had a learning disability that had a hard time reading. So once they diagnosed that, and they were able to help you out, but you still contribute to we did an event out at Del Valle with the Special Olympics, which was a really neat and a good time for me to be around you for that event. And that's you pouring back into your community because you needed it when you were growing up. You needed that same thing.
And I still do the Special Olympics too. This year, I was telling Mike we was going to Berlin, Germany for the World Games with the Special Olympics. I'm still a Special Olympic ambassador, and I mean, Special Olympics is a big part of my life as well, just as the Boys and Girls Club. So I mean, I'm at where I can give the love. That's where I'm at. That's where my availability is at.
Now, did you your first love? Did you love track more than football, or football more
track. I love track. I hate football. I had to chase the money. You know what I'm saying?
But you were a track guy. You could have been maybe. I
ran in the Junior Olympics. You didn't bring none of my tracks stats up. I ran in college too. I ran at UT. I won the Big 12 in 100, and I was a 4-time All-American in track at the University of Texas. So track is definitely my first love.
Well, you were hard to catch on a football field. I know that. And yes, I should have brought up your track accolades at the University of Texas because you were a 2-sport star. They don't really let them do that much anymore, do they?
Yeah, I don't really see that no more. But, I hope that, what I'm saying, these kids, this generation, they just let them focus on football. And I don't like that. I wish they can come up and play all sports. Like, you can play baseball, I mean, at certain schools they do. I had a quarterback from USC, I think, UFC, the Florida, the quarterback, they play for
the UCF quarterback.
Yeah, the USC.
Transfer for Ole Miss. He plays baseball.
He plays baseball and football. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wish they can bring those two sports guys back. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what makes the sports even better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, Buck and I grew up with Bo Jackson, crying out loud. Deion Sanders. These guys were both doing great in both. And there you go. Longhorns had a guy, Brennan Thompson, Brennan Thompson, who from Spearman, who was on the track team, but he transferred to Oklahoma now, so now he's on the other side. Yeah. But it's still allowed, and they still do. Heck, the Longhorns were recruiting the tight end. Remember the tight end, Buck, from Arizona that plays baseball?
Okay. Robinson.
End up going to USC, who's going to play both. So it's still out there, but I love that you encourage that because I agree with you. Too many kids and parents specialize too soon. And I promise you, scouts in all sports are looking for well-rounded athletes that have played a lot of different things and understand failure and understand how to compete in every sport. Jamal Charles is here, the Boys and Girls Club, over 5,000 clubs nationwide, 25 right here in the Austin area. So for the event this week, it's Friday. Wanted to get you in here on a Monday and get ahead of it. So for this Friday, check-in is 9 o'clock to 9:30. Then you've got skills and drills, a break, more skills and drills, and then there's an actual flag football game. This is it, and we'll get you the address again coming up. But you'll be there, Derek Johnson, Quan Cosby, Mike Griffin, Brian Arakpo, Michael Huff, and many more.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes.
Sorry, I hate to break in here, but I just learned the event is now sold out.
Oh, nice.
But we got it next year, and we've got. And we've got the Club Classic at Topgolf on August 24th. If anybody wants to come out and join us.
There you go.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to be here to pour into Jamal and these other Longhorn legends who are
giving back.
Yeah, they're Hall of Fame human beings.
Yes, well, that's well said. And so it is a sold-out event, but that's awesome that it is. And is this the first year of this? And you said there'll be more?
The second.
Second year. All right, well, it's in June, and so just know if you didn't get in this year, you're going to get your youngster in there. What's the age group for the camp that are going to be there on Friday?
I think it's 8 to 14.
8 to 14. All right, Jamal, man, good to see you. Thanks for bringing your son. He's a polite young guy. And it looks like he's going to be able to run pretty fast. Running up and down our hallway here at the radio station. Good kid. And Mike, thanks so much for the work you do. And for folks who, we're promoting this event that's sold out, but how about, I'm sure you're still looking for volunteers and people to be boys and, help out at the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, yeah. We're looking for members. We're looking for staffers. We're looking for volunteers, and we're looking for investors that want to invest in a kid so you can inspire a future.
Like the Buck over there. 55 years, you still have the card. And Chris Del Conte went was a member at the Boys and Girls Clubs. Jamal, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Are you excited for Texas football this year? Think pretty good things are about to happen?
I hope so. I hope this is the year. You know what I'm saying? They brought back the quarterback that, you know what I'm saying? And they brought back a lot of the top recruiting class. So hopefully this is our year before we move on to the SEC.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. And Jamal Charles would be helpful this year. Looks like he still play, by the way.
Nah,
I know. Yeah, man.
These knees it can barely get you to 1 yard.
Okay. Jamal Charles, everybody. Thanks a lot. And Mike Coffin from the Boys and Girls Club. What is our website, Mike? Obviously, just Boys and Girls Club.
BGCAustin.org.
There you go. BGCAustin.org. Thanks, guys. We'll be right back. Good, Bad, and Ugly Friday. That was really good. Appreciate our man Jamal Charles, Mike Coffin from the Boys and Girls Club. Love hearing those stories of guys who are transitioning out of their tremendous pro careers and helping out the city of Austin, do great things. There's so many of those stories, and Jamal is just one of them. And that dude was fast, Buck.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's just the guys that we get a chance to be around are just badass athletes, but they're badass people too.
I
mean,
Mike
just
Coffin said, "Well,
special.
Hall of Fame human beings."
Oh yeah.
And we hear Derek Johnson all the time with his endeavors that he's supporting, helping kids read and books and libraries. I mean, these guys are getting back and doing impactful things in the community, which
and
is
they
good.
do it together too, which is kind of that. I mean,
and
just,
they all show up for one another when you have an event.
They've done that. I mean, this is part of what Mac Brown talked about when he got here about being a family. These guys have never forgotten that part of it. I mean, it's very easy to forget about. You got things to do. Your former teammates have things to do. They have lives to go. But when it comes to helping each other out, these guys seem to be there for each other all the time.
Yeah, and it's over and over again. And as we said, those other guys will be out there for this event on Friday. Quan Cosby being one of them. Quan's always front and center with all these things.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you put a golf club in Quan's hands, he'll be there.
Yeah. Some Titleist balls, yeah, for sure.
Well, and Quan does that for the university now in the athletic department. But when we had your tournament, the Mullet Open last month, Quan was racing to get there at 11 o'clock because he had been at a clay shooting event that morning.
Oh yeah,
where he had to, way out and past Georgetown, so he had to fly down or drive by the speed limit down to Wolf Dancer to make that, which was pretty cool.
Oh, he was on the tollway. Believe me, he was kicking it. I guarantee you,
safely, Quan. But yeah. So that was cool. Appreciate that. And all those guys doing good. Boys and Girls Club.
Boy, Jamal is a big guy. He's
bigger than you think.
Yeah, oh, no. Don't think of him as a little thin guy you used to see running up and down here or with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a thick, grown man.
And he was mad at me. I didn't mention his track and field.
Loved his track and field.
Because that's what he said, my first love. First love. That dude was so fast. Obviously, he won the Big 12, and he was 4.3 at the combine.
He and Priest Holmes, I never saw guys set up screens like those two dudes.
Well, because he was,
and they did at the pro level also.
Well, in the NFL, he really hit his stride. I mean, he was his first few years in the league, he wasn't really, all there yet. But then, he's probably top 5 Kansas City Chiefs all-time leading rushers, right?
Yeah,
well, I would think so.
He and Priest, and he was a third-round pick, if you remember, for the Chiefs, and went on to lead the NFL and rushing a couple of times. But man, at Texas, just a blur. He was part of that backfield. He was a freshman in 2005 when they won the national championship, but that backfield included him. What they had, Cedric Benson had graduated in 2004, but Selvin Young, Jamal, Ramonce Taylor. They were just ridiculous.
They had a lot of speed in that backfield.
He won the Texas 5A state championship with a 13.6. He went on the 110-meter hurdles. That's a good dude right there. Appreciate him.
Wasn't Henry Melton a freshman running back that year? The same year as Jamal, they came in the same year.
I'll
and Henry went and played defense.
Yeah, played defensive tackle in the NFL. That's insane. That's still crazy to me that you can go from a running back to defensive tackle.
Well, so 2005, Chris Obanaya was a freshman. Ramonce Taylor was a sophomore. Selvin Young was a junior. Jamal was a freshman. Just stupid. Yeah, Henry Melton was a freshman on that team. Ahmad Hall was the senior fullback.
All of those dudes were in the NFL at one point.
Oh, well, everybody Mac recruited for a stretch that started that Mac recruited went to the National Football League. That's why the last 12 years have been really tough to swallow, because it was so good for a 10-year stretch, talent producing and winning, and now it hadn't been. And it feels like we're getting back to that, the corner turning, that Texas has a lot of draftable players right now that are emerging. Could have a couple of, they had Bijan Robinson this year, and there more coming. So that's when the winning starts, Buck. When you start having good players,
absolutely,
coaches coach and players play.
Chris Obanaya played for a while, did he not, in the NFL?
Well, he became a fixture. Oh, yeah.
Played fullback.
All those dudes. All right, so that's the football side of things. We've got baseball with the Longhorns through. There were some really impressive performances this weekend in college baseball. Wake Forest is the number 1 overall seed, and they went right through their region. Alabama came through their region without any losses. South Carolina went 3-0. Virginia went 3-0. Tennessee, as a 2 seed, went 3-0. They got through the Clemson Regional. Indiana State, the Sycamores, didn't lose a ball game. And then there were the upsets that we saw with Oregon. Oral Roberts, Oregon is a 2 seed, winning the Nashville Regional, taking out Vanderbilt and Xavier. And then Oral Roberts coming through that Stillwater Regional. Still to be decided today, Buck, will be plenty of games. And, they need, Florida and Texas Tech are going to play a winner. I think that game starts in about 2 hours. I think that's a 11 a.m. start on the East Coast. Texas Tech fans will be locked into that. There is a chance that there could be 4 schools from Texas among the 16 remaining teams. There's also a chance there could just be 1, and that's Texas, because the most likely team to get through right now is TCU, because they have 2 chances to beat Arkansas 1 time. As we told you, they're scoring 1 million runs. They're the hottest team going right now offensively after sweeping the Big 12 tournament and their first 2 games at Fayetteville, 12 runs in the game 1, 20 in game 2. They'll play at least 1 today. Might need 2 games to beat Arkansas. But then Texas A&M plays Stanford tonight. They could be through if they win. Stanford also, and then that Texas Tech Florida final is today as far as Texas teams and Big 12 teams moving through. So Longhorns looking really good.
I'm going to have to root for the Aggies. I want Texas to play Texas A&M no matter where the game is. I don't want them going out to Palo Alto.
Ty's having a hard time. But here's the thing: neither Buck or I went to Texas, right? We work at the Horn. We covered the Longhorns for a long time.
Texas.
Well, then you need to be more practical here.
No,
I can understand fandom. Never practical. Always emotional.
Yes. When it comes to Texas, yes.
Yeah, Ty was.
I have some audio from the Eric Kennedy interview last night.
I would love to have that.
Okay, hold on. I'll get it right for you.
Pull that up, because Eric Kennedy, one of the senior leaders of
he
this
might
team.
agree with me.
Well, look, I mean, here again, my 3-pronged argument for why you should root for the Aggies to win tonight. Pretty simple. I'll say it again. You have a chance to host if they win. No guarantee, but you could host. There is a guarantee if they lose to Stanford, you're not hosting. You're going to Palo Alto. By record and by all ranking, A&M's the lesser team. Stanford's a top 10 team in the country, a host. We're in Omaha a year ago after knocking out Texas State and on their way to Omaha again. And A&M is – so you want to play the lesser of the opponent.
You want to continue to play.
Yeah,
your best chance.
Yes, and 3, that it's going to push you over the top on the Directors' Cup if Stanford loses. Yeah, come on, man. That's 3 good reasons. Now, if you have to go. We also asked the question, would you rather go to, if you're not going to be able to host and the committee doesn't choose Texas, would you rather go to Palo Alto or go to Aggieland to play a series? That's where I would say, you know what, because of the vitriol and the hatred and the rivalry, might rather go to Palo Alto at that point. But
most of your fans going to go here, though. You get a better group.
Yeah, but I don't know what the odds chance are they could host this thing, because people talk about the bids. The bids have already submitted, and bid meaning money. Now, neither one of these schools is going to outbid the other, so it's going to come down to a choice. And as I said earlier, the one thing that made sense, I heard Roger Wallace say this on the broadcast yesterday. If you rank the teams 1 to 64, which I'm assuming the committee did when they ranked the teams.
Was it prior rankings
1 to 64? Yeah, and that's how they built the bracket, right? That's how you do it. The top 8. Then the top 16, and then you come back. It's like a snake draft. You come back the other way by ranking. And if you do that, you would discover that the higher-ranked team was Texas, because they got sent to play the 9 seed on the comeback, on the return of the snake draft, 1 to 16, back around 17, 18, 19. Texas got sent to Miami, which would mean they were ranked right around 23, and then A&M was sent to play number 8, which was Stanford, so you would be number 24. So that's how close these two are. They had a head-to-head meeting that Texas won.
That's enough.
And Texas won a share of the Big 12 conference, which A&M did not do, nor did they win their conference tournament. So, I don't know what I heard Craig and Roger talking about this. There is no guarantee. Let's hear Eric Kennedy, though. Last night, Ty pulled this audio from the postgame. Eric Kennedy, who made that tremendous 3-run homer saving catch on Friday, part of the unreal defense the Longhorns flashed in Coral Gables. Here's Ty's pulled this audio with Eric Kennedy.
We don't know about next weekend, but we do know that if the Aggies win, you've got a chance to win. Hosting a super, is it odd that you got to kind of cheer for the Aggies tonight and maybe tomorrow?
I'll never find myself rooting for the Aggies, but yeah, I mean, Super Regionals at the Dish, there's nothing better than that. That'd be electric. So I guess maybe for one night we can.
All right, there you go, EK. Good job.
Thank you.
Right there. And I know we're rooting for the Aggies. Well, okay, you don't root for them, but you kind of can hope in the back of your back.
If it happens, it happens. We've already secured our spot.
I think it would be more advantageous.
Control what you can
Texas.
control.
That's right. Well, they've already controlled that part.
They did that part, yes.
And
it's out of their control.
I mean, it would be classic Aggies to be like, oh, we're going to play Texas in the Supers and then just get blown out tonight. So
that's exactly.
Don't be surprised if you see that.
Well, the Aggies, Stanford had to play 2 games yesterday. They had to come through that loser side. That's why last night was disappointing for the Aggies to not get that one.
Yep.
Like Texas did. And, Texas wanted no part of another game. And that's why when they fell behind 3-0, you're like, oh, boy. You don't want to have to go back to Miami on Monday in the humidity and play again. But they don't have to because of a 9-run third inning. And, and that. Look, we've seen Texas, we talk about signs of a good ball club. We've seen times at Texas this year where they're not very good. But when it all comes together and they all play all phases, and David Pierce has told us this many times, that when they pitch, they can pitch to an elite level. They can produce runs at an elite level. They play defense at an elite level. There's just been times this year where they haven't done all 3 at one time. They've pitched but not hit. They've hit but not pitched. They've, early in the year they had some defensive lapses that cost them, especially out of Cal State Fullerton. They had some struggles there. And in that series in Arlington to start the year. But here they are now. What you saw this weekend was great pitching, backed by great defense, and then timely hitting when you needed it. And Dylan Campbell continuing that hitting streak.
This is the time when you're supposed to play your best ball, and they are.
And you said something I thought, great observation, that they looked fresh.
They did. They looked fresh to me.
Yeah, and the 10 days off,
yep.
I don't think there's any doubt that did them well and served them well with this weekend. So now they get to sit back and only had to play 3 ball games and get ready for whoever comes out of the Palo Alto regional, and then they'll decide where they go. But that's part of the good of the weekend. Also, the Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat have even that series at a game apiece. Who thought that was coming? Ty did. How much you win last night, Ty? How much you clear?
41 units this last week.
41 units. Are you
Very
buying?
nice.
You're buying lunch.
Could be big breakfast.
Big breakfast Monday. Love it.
You guys say that every day. Big breakfast, whatever day.
Big breakfast Wednesday, Tuesday.
It's around that time where I get real hungry.
Yeah, man.
Okay, big breakfast day. Big breakfast day. Good, bad, and ugly. So there you go. Texas Tech in Gainesville playing Florida today. TCU facing Arkansas today. And then tonight, if they need to, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia have all been eliminated. And as we said, the Oklahoma State thing was the weakest of them all. That is, they look like they quit, Buck. I hate to say that about a ball club.
They were ready to go home, were they?
Well, they were home. They were playing in Stillwater.
Sure couldn't get any closer to home.
And they were the only Tech team to host, and they got beat in game 1. Man, to go 2 and barbecue on your home field as a host, that's embarrassing. It's one thing to, Texas wasn't very proud of going up to Arlington and going 2 and barbecue. You never want to do that. Omaha last year for the Longhorns, but as the home team hosting the regional, to be out after 2 games and then have to sit back and watch someone win a championship on your field, or at least to ruin a regional, and they gave up 18 runs. 18 runs to Dallas Baptist in the elimination game. They just didn't compete like you would expect an Oklahoma State team to compete. I know they've had some issues there this year and dealt with a lot, but man, that was disappointing. Oklahoma went out, and West Virginia, see ya. Sorry for your sister. They had to stay in the dorm rooms.
Wow.
Well, and I was reading some about that situation. We know in Lexington they had that big Rail Fest music festival.
Oh, yeah. Where
no one could get any hotel rooms. Plus, they had a bunch of baseball tournaments going on, high school in Lexington. Well, people don't know this, but Kentucky and West Virginia have a pretty good rivalry, right? They're not far from one another. They're both backwoods kind of states. You know what I'm saying? Kentucky, West Virginia. So the West Virginia fans were all mad. Like, they were up in arms. Like, somehow they're getting screwed because they got to stay in dorm rooms and their team's getting hosed. So your sister and all the West Virginia fans were not real pleased with that.
Well, they're
whole
used
deal.
to sleeping on cots.
Yeah, because they were mad. Well, how many more hotel rooms? How many hotels are there in Morgantown?
2.
Like, they're a Best Western?
The Knights Inn and the Best Western.
What do you got in Morgantown to stay at? Like, it's not like you'd be any different, and you can't reschedule a music festival that you've been selling tickets for 6 months, and the bands are all coming.
I mean, it's not like Woodstock. It's not a camp out?
No. So West Virginia fans came in like mad. Well, and look, there's part of it that the players had to stay in dorm rooms that were not super nice. College. I mean, let's start with this. It's not the worst thing in the world that college students stayed in college dormitories. That's not the worst thing. Would it be better to be in some hotels? Yeah, probably so. But they're college students staying in college dorms. Now the coaches had to stay in the dorm too.
Oh yeah, it's all right.
Could you imagine if you were a coach and you're sleeping up on this dorm? In Lexington, look, all you can do is focus on baseball then. That's all you got to do.
Well, I mean, it's not like the worst thing. It's not like during tour days you didn't do that at certain places. Like Boston College,
Sure.
rather to stay in a daggum dorm like
but
the
the
players
fans
did.
who wanted to come root for their team couldn't get any place to stay.
Oh.
So, but it's not like West Virginia can tout their bevy of great hotel choices.
The Hiltons that they have there.
And I will admit I've never been to Morgantown, and I'm not planning on getting there anytime
There's no
soon.
reason. There's not a reason.
Craig Way has told me some travel nightmares about having to go to Morgantown.
Yeah, of course.
There aren't a lot of roads in the whole state, so there are not a lot of places. No one goes there much, so they have hotels. You got to have people who want to occupy those.
Exit only.
Yeah, I mean to have more number of hotels based on people that come there, because you can't. You got to have consistent people staying there to be able to keep the thing operational, for crying out loud.
West Virginia is very nice in the fall. The changing of the leaves. It's just like going to New Hampshire and places like that.
That's a pretty state.
It's
but
pretty.
But it's also pretty damn remote.
Yeah, what's the main tourism attraction in the whole state of West Virginia?
Beavers.
The Greenbrier. The Greenbrier resort thing deal.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Is that in West Virginia or Virginia?
I think Virginia. I mean, Craig Flowers, Colonel retired, my good buddy, he has told me that he was sent to West Virginia in the middle of nowhere for his when he was in the Army for his special training. He and his wife had to go there, and he can't tell you what he did.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where they can do all their artillery stuff and not change the landscape of the area.
Yeah, no one's going to notice. There's nobody around.
No one's going to notice. Yeah,
I'm just saying that let's not get too up in arms, West Virginia, about the situation, and you're out. You're out. And by the way, Kentucky has to play Indiana today to get out of that region. The Lexington region is still undecided, and they'll play. Kentucky won last night, so they're going to play a winner moves on game, Kentucky and Indiana. So there you go. Part of the college baseball weekend. We'll be back. A couple more good, bad, and uglies. We'll reset your top headlines and get you set up for the busy day here on the Horn. That's coming back. Yeah, good, bad, and ugly from the weekend. It was a good weekend for Longhorn baseball. Really good. Also, 8 other teams that have punched their ticket to the Super Regional round. Good on David Pierce. I know there's a Fire David Pierce crowd for whatever the hell reason, but he is now 12-0 in his last 12 regional games as head coach of the Longhorns. They haven't lost one since 2017. They're also into the Super Regional round for the 4th time in his tenure at Texas, and the Horns are in this round of 16 for the 13th time since they went to this format 16 years ago. So all that pretty darn good. LeBaron Johnson Jr. was awesome. Lucas Gordon and the Texas defense were awesome. And then that 9-run third inning yesterday was huge for Texas. Also good, Buck, the Miami Heat in the 4th quarter last night. Pretty good.
Fantastic, man.
36 points. They shot almost 70%. Michael Malone, the head coach of the Nuggets, was like beside himself at his team's defensive performance in the 4th quarter. He said, how do you lose focus like that in an NBA Finals game? Now, give some credit to the Heat and the way they attack, but, man, that was –
They haven't been there.
They've not
That's
been
the
there.
difference.
Yeah, that's right. The advantages the Heat had coming into the series were few. Well, one of them was Eric Spoelstra, who's a great coach, and starting Kevin Love last night. Making the decision to not double team Jokic, stay in that zone, and not let Jokic beat you with the assists. He only had 4 last night, scored 41. But that seems like a game plan because the Nuggets are now 0-3 this year in the playoffs when he scores 40 or more. You can't let him be the distributor, Buck.
No.
On top of the scorer.
It's too easy for him then.
Yeah, that gets everybody involved, and that team's too talented if he's getting everybody going. So you cover the heck out of everybody else and kind of take your chances. And it still came down to a 3-pointer at the buzzer there for Jamal Murray. That's how good the Nuggets are. They didn't play great, and they still had a chance to win that game.
Yeah, I don't really see anything maybe but a 7-point win by anybody from this point on.
I'm still taking the Nuggets to win the series.
Nothing close?
I mean, no, that's close.
Oh, you want
I don't
points.
I don't see anybody running away, a 12-point. I think it's all going to be close, all going to be 4th quarter type of games.
Who do you like in game 3 right now?
Right now, I like the Nuggets.
I like Miami.
I like the Nuggets.
I wonder what the line is. It's 3 days. It's on Thursday.
It's Wednesday night. I like the Nuggets.
You think they'll bounce right back?
Yeah. I mean, they're just too talented, and they didn't play great. I mean, when you allow an opponent who's a pretty good shooting team to shoot 70% in a quarter.
I mean, you didn't play any defense.
Yeah, you were not bringing the intensity on that end, and they've been a good defensive team. They were in game 1, because again, they're like, if they play really good defense, their offense is so efficient. I mean, they're so efficient. Also on the good side of the weekend, the Rangers again, 3 more wins. They're 38-20, best offense in baseball. Rangers have a big series this week with the Rays. That's going to be a lot of fun. The 2 best teams in the American League and 2 of the best in all of baseball. That's a big series this week, which we will preview and get you ready for. Rangers playing great. Astros 3.5 back. Astros just need to score runs. If the Astros score the top 2 teams in run differential the last 20 games, Rangers way ahead as number 1. Astros are number 2. The Astros have gotten their bats going. Their pitching staff is so good. If 3.18 is their team ERA, if they score 4, 5, or 6 runs or more, they're going to win. They're going to win almost every night. But their offense will go to sleep at times, and that did again
for the Rangers because they're scoring double digits.
Historically great start to the season. They're 58 games in, and they've already scored 10 or more runs 16 times, which is just dumb. And yes, the hitting streak continues for Marcus Semien. So that was part of the good of the weekend. Also good for the Longhorn football team. We're 89 days to the start of the season. Summer workouts and the summer work begins today, and they got a commitment. We know the Longhorns have a quarterback room that already includes Quinn Ewers as a returning starter, with being pushed by Malik Murphy and Arch Manning, 3 high-level recruits. 2 of them were the number 1 recruit in the nation. Sark's also landed the quarterback for the class of 2024, and that's the Cy-Fair quarterback, Trey Owens, who is locked in. And then over the weekend, part of a busy weekend, the Longhorns got a commitment from another kid out of the state of Alabama, a quarterback for the class of 2025.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, Alabama was recruiting him, and so was Auburn, and so was Tennessee, and so was most of the SEC. And this kid's name is escaping me. KJ Lacey. KJ Lacey is coming in. He's a kid the Longhorns got. So safe again to say, broken record, Sark can recruit quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty darn well. He's from Saraland, Alabama. He's 6'1", 180. And he doesn't look 6'1", 180 in that picture.
That's in Tuscaloosa, right? He's from Tuscaloosa. From what I saw.
Yeah.
Well, it might be the high school there.
Yeah, well, he's leaving. And Alabama was recruiting him he's from Mobile. He's from Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
Mobile, Alabama. Saraland High School there. So Sark gets another piece, and they're trying to pick up the recruiting push here in the summer with the new coaches added. That was part of the good. The bad Buck, Austin FC, loser.
Yeah.
2-1 after a long rain delay. That was a shame. They're not a great team right now.
Long season for them.
Sack Josh Wolf.
Sack him. Ted Lasso.
Come on.
Also,
man.
I got to say, bad on Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler, the geeky golf stat that is strokes gained against.
Oh yeah.
The field. His strokes gained against in Columbus, Ohio this weekend was 19. Tee to green. Like legendary. Tiger Woods, like off the tee and onto the green. His putting was last.